switch to ramp.
Hey, what it do?
Ahoy!
What up?
Happy Thursday.
Short timer.
It's my Friday.
Short
I'm
timer.
out of here.
Welcome to Uncompromised Sports Talk.
Say what you will. I'm ready to be compromised. I'm thinking about like we keep running ads for is it like the Clackamas County? We keep running ads for someone that needs like sheriffs. I'm thinking about signing up just to be a corrupt cop. Can you tell them going in that you're on the take, or do I keep that like quiet?
Now, who would you be on the take with?
Well, I'm assuming like
Because I'm sure a lot of people would come at you with some money.
oh yeah, right. I mean,
You know.
Well, yeah.
look,
Also, who'd you be on the take from?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like,
look, I'm not saying I want like cartel money or anything, but
why not? That's where the
you know,
that's where the money's at.
follow me on this. Like I'm
Look the other way when they bring their rigs of drugs through.
Look, let's say I'm I don't remember. I think it might be the Clackamas County Sheriff. I forget whoever, but someone's running an ad for we need sheriffs. So let's say I make a drug bust, right? And there's we get a bunch of fentanyl, and you get a couple guns, and let's say there's like 40 grand in cash. Who's to say that it wasn't 30 grand in cash? I'm the one that found it, and I believe I found $30,000. What is the criminal going to be like? No, I had 40,000.
That always has seemed like one of the best, I don't know, law enforcement scams to skim off of the criminal stash. What are they going to do? Tell on you?
Right?
Yeah. Don't they have cameras on that what do they call the room with all the would they keep all the stuff?
The evidence? Well, you
Oh,
get
I'm
it.
saying like when you're actually
Yeah,
doing
when
the
I'm
bust.
actually
Oh, you
doing
find
it.
a bag of cash.
Yeah.
There's 100 there.
I
No,
van-
there was 80.
I Van Dam someone's door on some sort of search warrant, or maybe like I pop the trunk and I'm like, ooh, there's cash in here. And it's like kind of one of those, one for you, two for me. We just kind of do one of those. Bottom line is I'm ready for corruption.
Well, but
I'm ready to be
wait a minute.
compromised.
That is corrupt.
Yeah.
But you would only be you're not on the take. You're just committing
Yeah.
you're just committing corruption. Like
That's true. I'm
there
not
would-
on the take. I'm
Yeah,
just
see,
corrupt.
But I think what you're saying is you want to be on the take because that way it's
You
not
could do both.
it's not really your fault. that
No,
way.
I don't want to be on the take because then I'm like, if I'm on the take, then what I'm saying is like I'm supporting like the cartels.
Well,
And
well,
I
wait a
don't-
minute.
I don't want to support the
What
cartels.
would be the easiest way to be on the take? Like, what's the easiest thing?
Like you take the cartel money to look the other way.
But why cartels though? Because if you screw them over, they might chop your head off. So
Yeah.
that's probably not the easiest.
Bingo. I've seen Ozark. I know how this goes.
Right.
I don't want that.
So what is the easiest way to be on the take? This is an important question.
I think the easiest way is what I'm talking about.
With
Like,
cartels?
no. Just skimming off the
But
top.
that's not on the take. We just covered this.
Yeah, now we're into semantics. I think the only way
That's corruption.
that's corruption.
Well, I guess they're both.
I think the only way to be on the take is literally taking money from criminals to either not arrest people or just like feed them information and be like, hey, by the way,
Look.
we're looking over here, so you need to probably go this. That's probably the easiest one is you just feed intel for money. You're a mole. I've seen The Departed. You act as a mole.
Okay. What if you went to rich people parties?
Yeah.
And just started a little collective where you're just like, hey,
Shake people down.
no, you're just like, hey, look, if anything bad ever happens, I want you to know.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do anything.
Don't call me unless.
What I need though
Well, I mean,
is a retainer.
well, Trump is saying this.
So what if you get all the rich people on a retainer?
See, now we're talking. That's the mob. That's the protection gamut.
That's easy.
That's what the mob does.
And they're not gonna kill you.
No, they go around to the
the mob
the store owners, and they're like, "Hey, you want to be protected? Who are you being protected from? Possibly me, possibly someone else." That's like the thing with Trump right now. He's telling NATO, he's like, "Hey, you better pay up, or maybe we don't come help." It's a protection racket. So I'm all about it. I'm thinking about starting a second career. I had a buddy of mine who's in the sheriff's department. I was like, "Can you have like a 46-year-old like rookie?" He's like, "Oh yeah, dude." He goes, "We took someone in who once was 50," and I'm like, "Yeah,
Really?
yeah,
50?
50.
Why?
Second career, I guess."
Well,
Seems like a real it's a boomer bust sort of thing if I do that, because if I decide to join a force and somehow get through, what's up. That I'm on the lookout for some side angles.
they would have real trouble with your body camera footage.
Oh yeah, my camera would be it wouldn't work a lot.
It would, yeah, it's like always broken or blurred. What is up with Sook's camera?
Why is his thumb always in the shot? I don't know. There would be a lot of suspect circumstances.
Shut up.
Going down with any sort of why is it every arrest you make seems to just be very implausible? I don't know. It's just the way it happens. Sorry, Chief. I don't know what to tell you. But you know what? I get results.
The sheriff is a government official, correct?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, because the sheriff,
Yeah, it's the county sheriff.
it's the county.
Yeah.
So I think your best bet. See, I think you're going up about this all wrong. I just think you just got to get into government.
Oh yeah,
You don't need to be sheriff.
that's true.
You just get into government
Can I? I don't want to be in. I don't.
because those people don't do anything.
That's true. But I want to like I want the
You want to shake people down.
yeah
So you want authority.
yeah respect my authority. I don't want to be some pencil pusher. Have you seen the new season of Fargo?
No.
You should. John Hamm plays a corrupt sheriff. Whoa.
A corrupt sheriff with nipple piercings.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. It is something else.
You two have something in common.
It is over the top.
It's a really good season of TV.
It's an excellent. Like you would appreciate what John Hamm is bringing.
I've
to
told
the
Rob
table.
that he should dive into Fargo season 1.
I will.
That's a good place to go.
Fargo season 1.
Really,
with
really
Because
good.
you said Fargo, they're all separate.
They're all
events.
separate.
Yeah.
None of them are.
So I love that.
Yeah,
I'll get to that.
They all have a loose tie to the movie. There's like homages to it, but they have nothing to do with each other. And the first season with Billy Bob Thornton is some of the best TV.
I love Billy Bob Thornton.
Also, you should go back and give you should try to get through the True Detective, the Night Country season. It gets better. I just finished it. It's it
Dude,
ends
that show sucked.
it ends solid.
And I think that show's living off of season 1's reputation, and I refuse to
I
go
know
along with it.
it's this.
It's the show sucks.
I think it got better. I liked this season. I'm
Okay.
giving it the official thumbs up.
My wife watched it, and I asked her for the official ruling, and she gave it. That's what she said.
Yeah. Two
Just
thumbs,
like that.
2 thumbs.
She's like, it got better,
Yeah.
she said, but she still didn't really. She's like, well,
Yeah.
I don't really understand what the hell happened.
I
I'm not
understand.
going to watch that dumb show. That show pisses me off. That show,
makes you angry.
season 1 was incredible.
Yes.
And it makes you think, about what actors do for a show,
Mhm.
because McConaughey and Woody Harrelson
Harrelson.
were so good.
Yep.
But the whole thing was good.
It was. It was excellent.
And then season 2,
It was Colin Farrell and
Vince Vaughn.
yeah.
Yeah. Season 3 was an absolute
Awful.
snooze fest.
Yeah.
And now season 4, I just can't. They've gone the wrong direction too far.
Yeah.
And I quit after maybe episode 2 of this season.
Yeah,
and
you
I don't
quit.
quit shows.
No.
That show is boring. And I think what's her name?
Jodie Foster.
Terrible.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but she's playing it a certain way, and
It's terrible.
It gets better.
Okay.
Gets better. But
Well,
you'll never watch it, so
no,
it
I
doesn't
won't.
matter.
That show sucks.
It had a good ending.
And if season 5 comes out, I will pee on it.
I get it. Yeah, that sometimes you just lose faith in something, and
Yeah, I've lost faith.
you can never go back.
It's living off of reputation, and I'm just.
Yeah.
I'm not going there.
Homeland did that.
Anyway.
Homeland did that for me, where you lose it.
What were we talking about?
That I'm ready for a
Vacation.
a government position
Oh.
in corruption.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could totally see you on the
Oh,
table.
100%. Now, if I was like
Me on the other.
if I was the mayor or something, then I'd be like on
Now
take for it.
that's an easy
Special interest groups, they don't me.
dude. Mayor is easy because you don't. I don't know, like especially smaller towns.
Yeah.
You don't do anything.
No.
Although there's probably less room for
Yeah, corruption.
big funds coming at you
Yeah.
in smaller towns.
No, I want I want to be a mayor and then like wear like a lot of like white suits with like a walking stick. You know, kind
Would
of
you be mayor of Portland?
yeah, let's do it.
You think so?
Oh,
You'd
God.
want that gig?
No. It's the
Dude,
worst job
worst
city
city-
in America.
Seriously, if you said what is the worst city to be mayor of in
can't.
the United States,
It might be Portland.
it might be Portland, Oregon.
Good luck with that. I'm tear gas Suki. I can't handle that.
What would be the right size city to be a mayor of to get your corruption done? Like what kind of population are we talking here?
Mm.
I'm thinking like
Because
it's-
Isaac's right. Too small is a problem.
I think,
Also,
I think somewhere down south would be
Uh-huh.
ripe for corruption. I'm thinking like maybe somewhere in the Carolinas.
like 80K, 100K town,
Yeah.
smaller, bigger.
What about
Maybe
like
a hundy.
Yeah, something down there. You know, enough to where I can wet my beak with special interest groups and look
I
the
just
other
have
way.
always preferred the whites.
You know, but small enough where I stay underneath the radar. I don't need any big city government looking down at me, being like, "Hey, what's going on down in this place?" You know, I can't have that. I need to work in the margins. You know,
I wish I could have more white things.
You've already tipped your hand,
I know.
mayor.
That's the problem. Is that now whenever I do run for something, then immediately my position is known that I'm here for corruption. This is why my campaign slogan is going to be, "I cheat the other guy and pass the savings on to you."
The color white to me just always works.
All right. Well, you're a short timer going to New Orleans for like 4 weeks.
Or 4 days.
That's gonna be wild.
3 days. Oh yeah, they signed that Brown guy, and then I went right past it. God,
Should that be deleted?
my political campaign is running into some problems before it even gets started.
Good grief.
I'm asking where the white power rankings go.
I'll tell you what, you could make an attack ad against me that you could go on for like an hour. In my own words, I'm gonna have to go on there and start talking about how the quotes were taken out of context. And I don't remember what the context was. I just know that I said it.
What?
Be rough.
That's a new thing. Oh, I was taken out of context. No, you said it.
You said those exact
Those-
words.
Yes, this
Yeah.
is a quote. No, it's out of context. I love that people now. That's the new one. Even on social media, they're like, "Oh, it's out of context."
You
You
said
wrote
What
it.
are you talking about?
It's right there on the paper, or I mean, the screen.
Honestly, the most amazing thing that's come out of like the last 7 years is just that. It's simply that no matter what you do, you can just be
The
like,
deflection.
yeah, you can just be
That's
like,
the Trump.
you can just be like, I didn't do that.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah.
That's where we are.
That is- no.
Yeah, no, that's not right.
Dude, we have
news.
you on tape saying it. Nah,
Whatever.
nah.
Sue me.
It's incredible, although people have started to do that.
Yeah, that's true. That guy's losing a lot of money
A lot of
if he
mil.
had any.
Well, couple $100 million.
Yeah, more than that.
Well, it's almost $500 million.
It's more like 400 million.
Yeah, it's almost $500 million.
Yeah.
Bucks.
A couple hundred is like 200.
Oh yeah, well,
You know.
it's a lot. Well, I'll tell you what. If you sued me for $200 million or you sued me for $400 million, there's no difference.
Well, you. Yeah.
I don't know either.
What?
You reach a certain amount, and it doesn't matter what you stick me for. I can't pay it either way.
Yeah, this guy's right. The interview format, the True Detective. So there was something about season 1, where they're interviewing. You remember season 1?
Yes.
So they're talking about
The case.
the past.
Yes.
Like they're being interviewed.
Yes. Hey, this is what happened back then.
That freaking worked.
It was great.
Really, really good.
And McConaughey with the whole time flat circle stuff. You just couldn't find someone that was better fit. Rust Cole, I think his name was. You couldn't find a better character for an actor to play that just fit perfectly.
And Harrelson was aces too, opposite him. He was really good.
Phenomenal. Well, Woody is like McConaughey gets his due. Woody does not, and that's
he
a
never
shame
does.
because he's a hell of an actor. Go watch 3 Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri.
Yeah, it was good. Wait,
Woody Harrelson. That
Good
is as good an acting job as you will see, and it still doesn't get the love, even though I think Sam Waterston won, or not? Is it Sam Rockwell won the best supporting actor for that?
All right, guys, let's party.
Sports?
Soup's going to New Orleans tomorrow.
Yeah.
For 8 weeks. It's gonna be crazy down there.
I'll be back Monday, but I don't think I'll make the show.
We have a lot of sports to discuss. We're gonna get to a college sports Thursday reach around coming up here. Big night for our Cougs. Nick Saban already lobbying to be head of college football.
He wants to be the czar.
Well, he didn't really say that, but he kind of.
He wants to. Look,
he's
if someone
insinuating.
asked him, he would do it. Speaking of corruption in mayors, Nick Saban, the mayor of college football.
But we'll get to our poll question pertaining to the Blazers coming up next on The Fan. All right, coming up, we have a college football. Actually, it's college sports, not just football. College sports Thursday reach around. But first, our poll question on X at 1080 The Fan, as always, brought to you by AAA Heating and Cooling, family business helping families for over 60 years. AAA IAQ.com. Yesterday, we asked you, which franchise do you most expect to screw it up? Looks like the Blazers rebuild won.
Shocker.
Well, it kind of is compared to some of these others.
Well, yeah. I mean, you look at the Blazers' history, it's been a very successful franchise. I honestly think that the biggest thing here is just ownership. I think as long as Jody and Burton are in control, it's people
No one
struggle.
has any faith.
No.
Blazers rebuild 48%, 23% Mariners J-Rod years. Wow.
Yeah, because that's mine. Just they've never been good. But you look at the you look at the you look at the foundation.
2001.
Yeah, they were good for like 4 years.
113 wins, baby.
If you look at the foundation that's there in the immediate, it's Seattle. Seattle should be good. They should, but it doesn't mean that they will.
Why should they be good?
They have a pretty good roster.
Pretty good little team.
Yeah, you got great pitching, and there's some young talent that's starting to go. And they found the big dumper, and J-Rod is a legitimate star. And
But you have no faith?
I really don't, because why would I? They are. That's like saying you have faith in the Lions. Like they can prove they can prove to you, but until Seattle proves it, I'm not
my
believing
Royals
squad.
came out of nowhere and won a World Series.
Yes.
So
Yes,
it
they
can
did.
happen.
Yeah.
Then we have 16% the A's getting a lifeline to Vegas, and then 13% Bears in the draft. A lot of faith in the Bears, man. I don't know why.
Yeah. Well, I think the idea.
Be careful.
We've been told for 2 years that Caleb Williams is football Jesus.
I think people are just thinking, hey, draft Caleb Williams and that's it. I don't know.
Well,
I don't know if it's going to be that simple.
Well, you got to be careful, because the last 2 football Jesuses, one was Andrew Luck, who, by the way, was really damn good, but it didn't lead Indy anywhere other than made the playoffs a couple times. And, there were some weird circumstances there, and football Jesus walked away and wasn't resurrected. The other football Jesus, if you remember, is Trevor Lawrence. And Trevor Lawrence is fine. Does anyone look at Jacksonville right now and think that their trajectory is just sky high? There's a lot more that goes into just, hey, we're going to figure this out, than drafting the guy that we're told is this, this institution they can't miss. And like I said already, you're seeing people chip away at Caleb Williams, and he will be a very debated topic over the next couple months leading up to the draft. I've already seen probably 6 or 7 pretty detailed breakdowns of his game by people that I like and people that I trust. And the opinions are wide ranging. There's no, I just think he will get pulled apart a little bit. And there are some people that are going to believe that he is the closest thing we've seen to Pat Mahomes. And there's other people that are going to believe that he is a better version of Johnny Manziel without the coke problem. But just that backyard style of ball that doesn't work.
Yeah, what did he say today? Something about cocaine?
He said when he left Cleveland that he was 210 pounds, and by the beginning of the next season, like August, September, he was 170 pounds, and he'd lost 40 pounds on an all coke diet. Or when you're doing
Ozempic. Hey,
he's saying cocaine did that?
Yeah. He said that's what happens when you're on a diet of, well, pretty much blow, is what he said.
Look,
Nice.
we're all on this Ozempic trend. What about the old school way of just yeah. Ozempic. What about the old days of just doing a ton of coke? Which is why I'm always impressed when you have a coke and a weight problem. When you manage to do that, that's a commitment to excellence.
You mentioned Trevor Lawrence before we get to today's poll question. Man, you're so right about. I just remember the talk about him before the draft. It's like, oh man, this is the man. This is the guy.
Yeah.
There was really no debate.
Nope.
With Zach Wilson, who was number 2. Yeah, he's good. I mean, Trevor Lawrence is good. So that's probably part of the reason why that never comes up. But the other reason why that never comes up, or nobody ever talks about that, is that there's just not one good quarterback after him in that draft. Not one.
No.
In other words, he was the guy.
Yep.
Still not, he's not. His career's not over. He could be good.
No.
But Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Justin Fields, Mac Jones, Kyle Trask, Kellen Mond, Davis Mills, Ian Book, and Sam Ellinger.
Let me just say this for the record. Ugh.
So if there were a guy that were really good, like a Patrick Mahomes,
you'd look
that came after him,
Or
Maybe that we talk more about Trevor Lawrence
well,
being.
like CJ Stroud, right? Like, I mean, Bryce Young, and then you get CJ Stroud, and if you're Carolina, you're just sitting around being like, what the hell? That's the saving grace for Lawrence is, like you said, there was no one, but Lawrence, he had the bad, the Urban Meyer thing, so we give him a break for that. And then it looked like he was taking the step, and he gets Doug Peterson, and then this year it was a step backwards, and now we're back into that.
I like him though.
I do too.
I'd take him as my quarterback, but
yes, it is not. It has not all been puppies and ice cream with Trevor Lawrence.
The interesting thing about him now is that we have all these advanced analytics. There's a lot of stuff to prove that when he has the time, when he has the resources, he's not getting it done the way he essentially should be. And other quarterbacks that we continually hate on have similar stats, numbers, metrics to Lawrence's.
Like who?
Oh, at some point last year, he was like playing the same as Daniel Jones, which you'd be like, ew.
Ew.
So, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, this year,
He's
60,
not good this year.
65%, 4,000 yards, 21 touchdowns, 14 picks, 80, 87 quarterback rating. It's good. But we sit there and we slice and dice the Kirk Cousins and Dak Prescotts of the world.
I know. And we don't with him, do we?
And we don't. And they have much better numbers than Lawrence. But because Lawrence was viewed as football Jesus coming out of Clemson, and we were told that he was just this. And when did we start that narrative? When he was a freshman. It's funny that when you get labeled that when you're young, it's sometimes it's hard to shake that label, even though a lot of people went into that evaluation and said he's very good, but he's not football Jesus. And what you're seeing right now with a lot of people with Caleb Williams is saying, yes, Caleb Williams is really good. That dude's talent level is off the charts. But when you watch him play, it's not a slam dunk, can't miss. We've never seen anything like this. But people don't want to hear that because the last 2 years, we heard Heisman Trophy, best player since Patrick Mahomes, and he's single-handedly wrecking, college football, and like he can't be stopped. And then this year, he wasn't great. And now you're seeing people that are put together. There was a really good one today that I saw from, oh God, what's his name? It's going to drive me nuts that I can't think of it. He does stuff for the 49ers. Sorry. Just a guy that I really like. He does really detailed breakdown. He did like a 4-minute clip of Caleb Williams playing on time by 3-step, 5-step, 7-step drop, ball, get rid of. And you watch that, you're like, holy hell. Like, this is really nice. And then they did like a 2-minute of him playing backyard ball where it works. And you're like, holy crap, this is Pat Mahomes. And then there's like a 4-minute clip of him playing backyard ball where you're like, that's Johnny Manziel and he's going to die. Like, it's nightmare fuel. And so his whole point was, which one is...
Well, it depends on the coach.
Exactly. It depends on the coach and does
just like most every other quarterback.
Yes. And does the system that he goes into...
Like Trevor Lawrence has Urban Meyer and sucks, and then he gets Doug Peterson and he's pretty good.
Yeah. So it's like... there's I think Caleb Williams is going to fall into the circumstance category way more than people want to let on right now, because it's like, it doesn't matter where he goes.
So do you think, since you're going on vacation tomorrow, well, I mean, we'll have plenty of time to talk about this, but just real quick, do you think the Bears should just take him?
Yes.
Or do you think they should trade out of that?
No, take him.
Just take him and that's it?
When you have that kind of upside, and I hate the upside thing, but when you have that skill set,
just take that and
take it,
roll the dice,
okay. and teach him to play the game the right way, because his skill. And I hate that we use this term, but it's true. When you watch him play, the skill set that he possesses is very Mahomes-esque. The ability to move around, the athleticism, the arm angles, and a lot of the stuff that we're picking him apart, and rightfully so. It's very similar to what Mahomes had at Texas Tech. The difference is Mahomes didn't have a lot around him at Texas Tech. And that's one of the reasons they didn't like him coming out of college, is he played with a lot of what would you say? He played a lot of garbage ball. And you look back on it, and people were able to see like he had to do it because there was nothing else around him. And once they cured him of that, the good shines through. So the good for Caleb Williams, his ceiling is enormous. I just think his floor is lower than people realize. People are saying like he can't be a bust. I'm not certain of that. I think he can absolutely be a bust if he plays like a Johnny Jackass back there at times that he did at USC.
Oh, no.
But his ceiling is really, really high.
Okay, well, let's get to today's poll question next. It pertains to how the Blazers can fix their cratering television ratings. Did you read that story?
Yeah.
It's not going well.
60% locally and
Not a
50%
lot of-
overall.
What?
50 to 60%, depending on.
60%.
Yeah.
Down 60%.
It's not good.
I'm gonna go to that lake.
Not many rods and cones on the Blazers.
No.
So we'll talk about that next. Here's Buck.
No.
Yeah, I think it's
You know,
cue the water bottle. It's like most things. It's a collection of things. I mean, you don't just get a 60% drop because of one thing, but
Oof.
when all of those things need to happen. The team desperately needs to sell. You got to get a better. I can't tell you got to get a better TV deal. I can't tell you how many people just tell me all the time, like, how do you watch the Blazer games? And you're like,
because they don't have root,
they don't have root.
but they had CSN.
Yeah. And even the CSN deal, people were pissed
Yeah.
about. Like,
Oh,
if you thought CSN was bad, they made it worse with root. And now with
Really?
more and more people cutting the cord, I think the only one that you can get root is, I think Fubo may have it.
Well,
but
they moved it to a different tier.
yes,
That was part
that
of the problem.
too. So yeah, for streaming, it is only on Fubo. So like NBC Sports Northwest had previously been on YouTube TV and places like that. You could still get
like
it,
Sling and stuff.
right? But it's on a higher tier now on like Comcast cable, and it's only streaming on Fubo.
And I don't think,
It's way less accessible than
and
NBC
root doesn't
was.
have an app, right?
I don't believe so.
Yeah, I don't even think they have an app.
So
Like
it's
you have
way,
to do it through Fubo.
So it's way less accessible than CSN to most people in Oregon.
Correct.
I think so.
Wow. Okay, I thought when they moved to root, it was more accessible.
I think now with everyone too, so many people cutting cords.
Yeah.
Like,
and then they get bumped by the Kraken too frequently, so they get put on something called Root 2, which people have an even harder time finding.
That was the other one when I had Comcast before I cut the cord. I can't tell you how many times I was like, "What? God bless America!" And then you're like, "Hold on." You go to your sports app and you scroll down, because on the Comcast, when it's on Root 2, like most of the sports, like when Comcast, they're all like right there, like from ESPN to all the regionals, and it's just it's in the same little block. Not Root 2. Route 2 was down by like Turner Home Movies and like the Hallmark Channel. It's an entirely different spectrum. So you add into that they're going to win, God willing, 26 games this year, and you
wish.
and it's blacked out on NBA TV, so you can't do that even if you eat the league pass.
So that's a big part of it.
And by the way, you had that whole drama where you got rid of the arguably the best player in franchise history, and you weren't honest about it. You weren't honest about the rebuild. You sat up there and you told us that Scoot was going to have no problem adjusting to the league, and he came out like absolute dog mess.
I'm gonna go to that lake.
He's actually gotten a lot better. The last month or so, he's been really good, and he's showing signs. But I think a lot of people saw that in the first month or two and was like, "Dude, I'm just out." So I just think you have all of these things, and now too, people are asking the question: is Chauncey the guy long term? Do you need to fire him? And so you have this cavalcade of just.
Well, rebuilds are messy.
Of crap.
They're always messy, and they're never fun right out of the gate, and so that's a lot of it. And then Jody Allen is she's just not around, and it feels weird without Paul, who cared, and now it kind of feels like Jody doesn't, even though she says she does, but she never really talks.
Yep.
And then you got this new GM who's I don't know.
And I don't have anything against Joe Cronin.
I don't either.
And maybe he's a victim of his own words, but
very inexperienced.
Oh, and he says a lot of stuff because he's trying to kind of placate people. But then you look like an ass when you sit there and say, I can't wait to push the chips all in. Dame and Scoot can play together. Scoot can't possibly struggle because he's a rare talent that's going to hit. He says all these things, and then none of it comes to fruition. And so you just end up, when you lie to people enough, eventually they just don't believe you. And so I just think in general, people are checked out. Like, I can't tell how many, we talked about this the other day, and the text line floods with people saying, how many times I've been offered free tickets this year? And I'm just like,
And now that's the team.
Yes.
I mean, that has nothing to do with cable.
No, but it's the general apathy of it where people
are. They suck. I mean, it's
like, I'm not doing this.
Again, rebuilds are not pretty when they first start, and that's where you're at, right?
Yeah.
I mean, first couple of years of a rebuild.
Well, but this is technically 3 years in because you take the last two.
But again, these guys. I mean, your best draft pick is still a rookie.
Yes.
So it just those things take time, but I got, man, I've lived here over 24 years now.
Yeah.
And I will say that the one thing that still blows me away is how hard it is to get your teams on the damn television in this area. Yeah. I've never seen anything like it. I can't believe it. Everybody tells me, oh, the Blazers are, everybody loves the Blazers. Blazers are king. Well, if they are, why the F could half the state not get them for so long?
It's rough.
And because there are
the
other
only-
markets in the country that would it just would not stand. Like
It's the only game in town.
you can't do that. It's the only game in town. It has to be on TV. Like that is a foreign concept to me 24 years later that I still don't believe. I mean, we did this with the Ducks and the Beavers.
Yep.
Everybody says, well, the Ducks and Beavers, everybody's watching the Ducks and the Beavers. Okay, well, they're on a channel that I can't watch.
A lot of people couldn't watch it.
I think it
Pac-12
often
network.
has to do with
It's
the
just-
subscriber fees, and basically for a lot of the entities, or like for the carriers, like say Comcast, they have to clear a certain number of subscribers saying yes to it to be able to make their money back
Right.
on it. So, but they need the people who don't care about basketball to be like, yes, you can include an extra $2 on my bill every month to include the sports package. Like people don't, some
Or-
people don't want that.
Or do not enough people care about? I
Yeah.
mean, we were up in arms about that first Comcast Sportsnet deal
Yep.
with the Blazers.
Yep. People were so
People
pissed.
were livid.
Nothing changed.
That thing went on for like 15 years,
Long time.
and no one cared.
No.
No one
Just-
did a thing
Well,
about
it was
it.
the same thing with the Pac-12. When the Pac-12 made their thing and it couldn't get on
Yeah.
some of the major platforms, Larry Scott was like, "Oh, it's going to be a matter of time and blah blah blah, and we're going to raise hell." No,
Nothing.
never happened.
Blows me away.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really understand why that is. I maybe it's just that we're not all that sportsy up here. I don't know what that is. But all that to say, the Blazers to me, another element that they have failed is their media rights, both radio and TV, have been all over the place for the last seemingly decade,
Hard to find.
right?
Yep.
Like I don't even know what radio station they're on anymore.
That-
They've bounced to every one
The other day,
except for ours.
the other day I was driving home, and
Were you looking for them?
I was, because that was what game was that? Me and Buck were talking about it. Was that the Pistons game? that
Yeah,
they had
they were favored by like 4 or 5.
Yeah.
I think loses would be a clutch loss.
So I was driving home, and it was like getting like all of a sudden the Pistons were like coming back, and I was like, "Holy hell! I want to listen to this." And honestly, I was doing the scan. I was like, "Where the bleep is this?" And I was like trying to think. I'm like in my head, I'm like, "Where?" And so I'm kind of scanning through, and it's true. And then the other one too is to go along with the media rights thing. You know, I think a lot of people still to this day are pissed that the Mike and Mike thing got dumped too, and like they just it's been the last handful of years have been an unfortunate misstep of just
They're a
mismanagement.
rudderless ship.
Yeah,
They really are. They seem like a rudderless ship, and
Yeah.
I feel like if anybody, I don't know who does all these deals. I guess the president or maybe Bert Kold has a hand in it. But when you're talking about media rights specifically, there is value in going where people are,
Yeah.
putting your product where people can get it. Like, and the Blazers might tell you, there's two sides to that coin, at least on the TV side. The Blazers might tell you, well, I mean, CSN, we were all that was on that station, so
Yep.
we wanted to kind of up our viewership by going to Root. Well, now you guys are telling me that it's actually fewer viewers, that Oregonians that could get their eyeballs on the Blazers on Root than CSN. I don't know why then that they would jump to Root. That makes no sense to me. And then the other side, and this I can speak to from the radio side, just from what I hear, and I'm never in any of these meetings or anything, but when the Blazers, like somebody said, they should be on KGW TV again.
Yeah.
Well,
and there's some talk that maybe over the next the Blazers do have the rights. Most people do in these
And they
TV
should.
deals to buy some games back, to buy some inventory and put them on that.
just put them where people are. But
Yeah.
but the flip side is if you sit down to negotiate with KGW, I feel like the Blazers overvalue their product, and KGW is like, well, that's not worth it to us.
60% of the people stop watching.
Which is why, well, I don't even mean now. I mean just this is I just know from on the radio side, the Blazers have seemingly always overvalued what they bring to the table, which is why they've bounced around on different radio stations, right? Like you have to there has to be a good partnership, and sometimes there's value in, like, in other words, if they were on the Fan, I think they would be in a great spot. Like the Ducks finally figured out that, hey, we should be on the Fan because the Fan is the station in Portland, right? They give them credit. They actually figured it out. I'm not just saying that because I'm on the Fan. Dude, the Fan kills every other radio station in the market, all the AMs, and that doesn't even, I'm not even including, and I'm not just talking about sports, right?
Yeah.
So the Ducks are like, oh, there's value in being on that station because it's a station of record with sports fans there. Same with the Blazers. But then the Blazers come around, sit down at the table, and we're like, well, we want to be on the Fan. And they're like, wait. And the Fan people are like, well, wait a minute. You want to charge us this, and we only get to get this many of the inventory, this much of the inventory, and That's not worth it to us. So that's why you see them both on the TV and radio side bouncing around so often. And that does them no favors. I mean, again, I think I've been saying this for years, but I just feel like they take their fans for granted. They think that they're big no matter what, and people are going to watch them no matter what. So I hope they're getting a nice little taste of humble pie over there. That 60% of their audience from last year is gone on the TV side. Maybe they'll wake up and get them. Do your fans a favor and put your product where they can get it. What'd that new guy do in Phoenix? That Matt Ishbia guy.
He put them on broadcast TV, and he sent out. He purchased HD antennas for anyone that wanted to sign up for him. So his whole thing was, if you're in the Phoenix area and you want to watch us, we will be on network TV.
Yes.
And if you can't get network TV, we will give you an HD antenna where you can watch network TV.
Now that's a smart guy.
Yes. Because if you're gonna be bad, you better be two things. You better be cheap and you better be accessible.
That's right. And they're neither. It's mind-blowing. They need to sell, man. They really do.
This guy says the $6 credit Xfinity has given me for no route seems like a score as I listen to this. Other people are saying that, like, with the Fubo, or is it Fubu or Fubo? Fubo. They're saying that they have a good app and they can stream their games. If you have that. Some of the prices, like if you do have Comcast, they're saying that the package that you have to have is basically about $150 a month between the regional fees and the upcharge for the sports network. That's the whole reason why people are cutting. So
I think
but I think in general, I think sports fans are realizing that once you cut the cord and the way some of these games are consumed, certainly the problem is hitting home here, but I think it's hitting for a lot of sports fans around the country, that it's getting harder and harder for some people to find the content they want.
Yeah.
That isn't an arm and a leg.
Yeah, I don't know. And it's hard. I'm sure it's hard when you're an executive with a sports franchise trying to navigate the cord cutting world,
because you're trying to get as much money as you can, and this deal over here is a couple $1 million more, but at the same time, what's the benefit of it if you end up in a spot where people can't or don't want to watch you?
It sounds like the last Blazers TV deal, when it was up, it was go back on CSN or Root.
Yeah.
I don't know if they had any other options. I don't know. I mean,
Well, and Comcast went away because they left, and they were the only thing holding that thing up. But those regional Comcast channels are failing left and right.
Yeah, that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
So it's not any one person's fault, but it's a mess. You can do yourself a lot of. You just do yourself a disservice. But I feel like the Blazers have done themselves a disservice with their media rights for quite a long time, and I don't know what their radio ratings are. They can't be much of anything. And then on TV, they're down 60%.
I can't imagine that
that is not good, man.
They have to be having meetings at the highest level, looking at those numbers, being like, guys, we got to do something. You can't just sit there and be like, eventually they'll come back.
Well, how long's that Root deal?
I think they got 2 more years.
Okay.
And Danny was talking about this, that he would be, and Danny's tied into this. He even said it. He said he would be shocked if next year, if the Blazers don't buy back some of that inventory and put it on broadcast TV.
That's what they should do.
And then in 2 years, if they're at all smart, they will come up, even if it's less money for them, they will come up with a deal that is way more viewer friendly than what they've done over the last 17 years.
All right, that's the poll question. It is up on X at 1080 The Fan. What will most fix the Blazers' cratering TV ratings? Easier to find games, better team, Phil Knight, or nothing? Coming up next, a college sports Thursday reach around. It is 3:50 on The Fan.
The Fan is live on YouTube.
Little James Brown, as
Yeah.
opposed to hee hee.
I like some
Like, where did Michael get the hee hee?
in my music. I don't know. That's a good question.
Because the yeah, I mean the seems a little more natural. Like you're just
Taylor Swift dance. Oh, I'm hurt.
Give them hot milk. You know, we have little cookies.
like James Hetfield Metallica. He gives you hey,
Yeah.
that's his version. Hey, he gives you one of those, and every now and you get a woo.
All right. Well, big night in college hoops. Did you know that? I mean, it's not really.
No.
But our Cougs, I was reading about the Cougs today.
Yeah. The upstart Washington State Cougs.
Yeah, they're 20-6.
Hell yeah.
They're ranked 16th.
Second in the pack, right? Right in front of the Duckies.
Tonight they play at Arizona, who is ranked 4th.
Yeah.
And if Washington State wins this game, they will be in sole possession of first place in the Pac-12
for the first time since when?
With 4 games left.
When's the last time that happened?
Well, I believe the last time they were ranked was like 302 weeks ago or something like that.
I can tell you this. I don't know when the last time is they had sole possession of first place. Because they've had some good team. Tony Bennett had some good team.
I remember under
that was
Bennett,
the last time they were ranked was Bennett.
Bennett had that squad. They played. They got jimmered in the NCAA tournament. They played
weren't
BYU.
They a top seed?
I don't know if they were a top seed, but they weren't a 1.
Maybe they were a 4.
But they were a higher seed. And I'm trying to remember who they had. They had a Hawaiian kid that I remember. But yeah, that year I'm pretty sure they played Jimmer Fredette and BYU. That year they were good, and then Bennett left and obviously took the Virginia job.
And they had Kelvin Sampson back in the day.
Yeah. That cheating ass. I love it.
But I can tell you this. Reading about the Cougs, this stood out to me. And I'm now pulling for them because of this. They haven't won the Pac-12 since, you care to guess?
1963.
Buck, you have a guess? You're wrong.
I was going to go right in there. Let's say 1951.
The Washington State basketball Cougars of men have not won the Pac-12 since 1941. It has been 83 years, dude.
Like you just dropped a dude on me. What's up, dude?
I mean, that's unbelievable. I thought for sure they got one
the duder
when they were good with Tony Bennett, but they didn't. And so tonight, huge game.
Yep.
And the game's down in Arizona. They beat Arizona the first time. So this is a rematch.
Yeah, so I looked up.
They're like 12.5-point underdogs.
They had 2 years under Bennett, 07, 08, where they were a 3 and a 4. And they made the round of 32. They beat Oral Roberts and Vanderbilt. And then in 2008, they beat Winthrop and Notre Dame. I thought it was BYU, but it was Notre Dame. I get my religious schools.
They lost to Notre Dame?
No, they took down Jesus. I thought they took down Mormon Jesus, but they took down Catholic Jesus. And then they lost to the number 1 overall seed, North Carolina.
In the Sweet 16?
In the Sweet 16. So those were, and by the way, that's the last time they made the NCAA tournament was 2008.
Have they ever made a Final Four?
No, it does not. I lied. 1941.
God, they were dominant in 41.
They beat Creighton, Arkansas, and those mighty Badgers. Though at 34-39, where they lost to Wisconsin.
Another weird one.
I mean, they've only made the tournament.
Yes, that's about where that's what I was going to say. 6 times.
6 times.
Yeah, they've only made the tournament 6 times. That's not a lot.
Well, last year they made the NIT and they lost to Eastern Washington in the first round.
All right. Well, anyway, big night for the Cougs, and then here on the fan we got the Ducks playing Stanford.
Are you not interested in the CBI history? I mean, we just gonna.
I'm not.
You're just gonna ignore that?
No, and I can't even tell you who the coach is. I think his last name is Smith. Kyle Smith, Jim Smith,
Kyle Smith,
Terry Smith,
Kyle,
Gary,
Kyle. It's Kyle. Now, can please someone double check this because this is one of those where I'm adamant it's Kyle Smith, which means it's anyone but Kyle Smith.
It is. He came from University of San Francisco.
God.
Ken Bone. You remember Ken Bone?
I do remember the Bone.
Do you remember the other Ken Bone? The red sweater Ken Bone?
2 Ken Bones.
Yeah.
Well, in between the Boner and Smith was Ernie. Big Ern.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yep.
They brought Ernie up there.
Yeah, they brought Ernie. I was so like anytime I'm adamant about that this is where I'm at in my life with my head. When I am adamant that it is something, the moment I take a real hard line, like, no, it's this, I immediately start doubting myself. I'm like, hell.
Well, you were right there.
Yeah. Blind blind squirrel type of stuff.
More on our College Sports Thursday reach around coming up next, including Nick Saban already lobbying to be college football commissioner. It is 3:59 on the Fan. Yeah, I looked up who was on those old Washington State teams with Tony Bennett as the lead man there.
Mhm. People are saying the Hawaiian guy I was thinking of was Derek Lowe.
Yeah, Derek Lowe.
Yep.
He was their leading scorer. Kyle Weaver.
Mhm.
Remember him?
Defensive specialist, if I remember.
Robbie Cowgill.
I remember Cowgill.
Sort of.
Aaron Baines.
The Aussie.
Ivory Clark. And then someone else asked, weren't they really good with Klay Thompson? Not really.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
He was really good.
He was really
but
good.
they weren't great when he was there.
we went through their tournament history, guys. It's not the question of were the Cougs really good? Just arbitrarily, the answer is no. So
he was only there 1 year, right?
Clay?
Yeah.
No, he was there 3 years.
I thought he was there a while.
And because the whole thing was that he was going to get recognized on senior night his junior year, and he got suspended for it after he got like popped for driving after getting high.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah, I see here. So Tony Bennett was his coach. Oops. Tony Bennett was his coach for 1 year. And they went
Yeah, he was there 3 years.
18 and 17.
Yeah, he was there 3 years.
And then Bennett left. Or sorry, they went 17 and 16. And then Bennett left. Then Thompson became their leading scorer for 2 years under Ken Bone, and they went 16 and 15 and 22 and 13.
There you go.
Great question for the Vancouver Ford text line. How were they in the LeVar Ball era? Because he played there.
Remember when, according to LeVar Ball, they were the greatest team known to man, and that he could have beat Jordan, and he was benching 800 pounds, and his claims are phenomenal. He popped up on my timeline the other day, and it was some interview with someone, and he was claiming that at his like NFL tryout or whatever, because he tried to play football.
That's
too.
right. Yeah.
He claimed that they had him they were going to do the 225 bench press, and he said he didn't want to bother with that, so he just picked it up over his head and started doing it that way. And they said he claimed he tried to do he did 30 reps of 225 behind his head,
Okay,
which
LeVar.
is the most impossible thing in the history of mankind. But like, he says these things, it amazes me. He's this way, and I'm not trying to get into a broader scope, but that people just blatantly lie, and not like little lies that are somewhat believable.
Easily fact checked and things like that.
It fascinates me. It's like it's the equivalent of me saying that I went and picked up a car in the park. Yeah, I went and saw Rob's Highlander the other day, and I thought it was a little over the line, so I picked it up and I moved it over. It's just as believable as saying that LeVar Ball, you overhead pressed 225 pounds. You just picked it up off the ground and started pressing it above your head 35 times.
By the way, what did Adam Silver and the league say to him to get him to shut up? Because he went from like 100 to 0 so fast.
Well, yeah,
Probably his kids.
Probably his kids. He's got one
Yeah.
kid that's pretty good.
Well, that's the thing is like once he started with like Lonzo, he wouldn't shut up. But it was like when LaMelo came around, everything just like shut off. It felt like.
Yeah, I think he.
So I have LeVar Ball news. Would you like it?
we do have
Hell
LeVar Ball news.
So he played. Fun fact: he played under Kelvin Sampson.
Oh, okay.
Kelvin Sampson is so old that he coached LeVar Ball.
Didn't realize that.
Kelvin Sampson, by the way, is still the coach at Houston.
He's a hell of a coach. He cheats his ass off, but now he can't.
I hate him so much.
He's a good coach.
He is such a jerk.
Yes.
Like, just watch him. You want to talk about these heavy-handed coaches that, I mean, you hate him, like the Bob Knights.
Bully people.
I look right at Kelvin Sampson. He's one of them. He's an ass.
Without even hearing what he's saying, I watch him and I'm like,
Yes.
yeah, I don't even want. I would
Yes.
never want to be.
He just
one of his
looks miserable.
Yeah, he looks miserable.
So LeVar Ball that year averaged 2.2 points per game. He only played 1 year.
But they're the greatest 2.2 points a game you've ever seen.
And the Cougs were 13 and 16. But I'm sure LeVar would tell you that they would be much better.
Better than Jordan, never lost.
had he played more.
I would have dominated. Are you kidding me? Just
26 games. He did start 6 times and
nice.
played 11 and a half minutes per game.
do so love those guys that, again, you can easily fact check.
Well, it's like our boss. We
Stats.
had a boss that once said he played baseball at George Mason.
Yeah, we look.
He did not play baseball at George Mason.
No. It fascinates me.
What a
Like-
weird lie to tell.
Right?
It's strange. Right?
But he also knew no one would call him out on it because it's like,
Except someone did. You
this
guys.
is awkward. Well, we do now because he's not here.
He's
But
not here. But
if he were still here, we'd probably just shut up about it
yeah,
and
exactly.
just laugh behind his
Because
back.
it's not. Yeah, you don't.
You don't be like, you didn't play there. Like, why would you do that?
My all-time favorite one of those stories, and I've told it multiple times, is when I was a driver at the airport. I drove the little shuttle cart. When I was driving it, which wasn't that frequent, took a lot of breaks. I was driving a kid and he was head to toe in Cal team issue football gear. Back in the day, and I don't know if they still do it, but Nike had one template for all their schools. So our team issue sweats were the exact same as Cal's team sweats. And it was team issue stuff. You couldn't buy it, on the secondary market. It was just team issue stuff. And it was a dude wearing head to toe Cal gear, including like the workout shoes. I was like, hey, does this guy play at Cal? I'm like, Jesus. Like settle down there, my man. Like everything he had on. So I was driving him and I asked him, I said, hey, I got a notice, like Cal stuff. I said, did you play at Cal? And he's like, yeah. He's like, I'm their starting middle linebacker. And I was like, oh. And he was a black guy. And I was like, it's interesting because someone had just got done like 4 months ago playing Cal, me.
And probably blocking their middle linebacker.
Their middle linebacker was really good. The problem is their middle linebacker was a big, tall, white guy named Scott Fujita, who went on and played in the NFL. He was really stinking good. In fact, none of their linebackers were black, which again was kind of one of those odd things. I was like, a bunch of white guys. So I started asking him, and I just kind of let him kept hanging himself. I was like, you started like a couple games? No. And he went on and told me all this grandiose story about how he's this great linebacker at Cal and this and that. And then at the very end, when I was letting him off of the cart, I was like, it's funny because like you were talking about how you played at Cal and you started all these games and blah blah blah. He was claiming he was like honorable mention all conference, and it was a shame that he didn't get this and that. And I was like, it's weird because I'm actually the starting center at BYU. And I was like, unlike you, I'm really that guy. And I'm like, we just got done playing Cal. I'm like, we kicked your ass. And I'm like, I know your linebackers. And they weren't you. And the look on his face just,
if he could have gone white as a sheet, he would have.
It just melted. And I just kind of sat there and grinned at him, and he didn't say a word, and he picked up his Cal team and he just walked off.
Do you think he was like a walk-on special teamer, or do you think he was no affiliation?
He had to have had some affiliation because he had.
I don't know if you could like buy that stuff at the Nike store or something.
He had some sort of affiliation. So my guess is either it was a walk-on or whatever. He didn't play, and I probably should have just let it go, but I couldn't help. And I would have had he just been like, yeah, I play at Cal. But he wanted me to know that he was this great. It's great. Of all the places to tell that story, of all the airports, you happen to tell it at PDX.
He could tell that story to 10,000 people, and only one person would be able to tell him it's wrong, and it's you.
Who the hell knows who the linebacker? Yeah, who knows who the linebackers are? He could have told that to half of my teammates, and they would have had no idea.
Yeah.
You probably could have told it to my left tackle, and he wouldn't have known.
That's super random.
Yes. But
awesome.
It's one of my favorite moments in my life.
You didn't have to call him out on it. Maybe he was just having a good time. That's like the time I told you the time I was on an airplane, and for some reason, and I still don't know why, I was speaking in an Australian accent to this dad and the kid next to me. I have no idea why. And I just I'm like, oh crap, now I got to stick with this.
You're committed.
And I kept going. They thought I was from Australia. I mean, what am I doing?
Having fun?
So maybe he was doing that. It was entertaining to me.
How long did this continue for? How many hours?
Well, I don't remember the flight, but yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Did you have to like order your drinks in Australia too?
Yes. They were sitting right next to me.
So good.
So stupid. And so sometimes you just, he didn't think anything of you. So he was like, oh, yeah, I'll just tell him I'm the line, having a good time. And
I just
spoiled his fun.
I would have loved to have known what was going through his head as he walked off. Not a word was spoken, not an FU, not a nothing.
Dude, he doesn't care. He's going to go tell the next guy, and he's going to double down. Because the next guy ain't going to be the center for BYU.
I just remember looking at me. I was like, are you Scott Fujita? Or Scott Fujita? Is that you? You don't look the same. Like, whoops.
All right, guys.
Good times. I hope that guy is in Portland somewhere listening right now.
The reach around continues next is Caitlin Clark bringing her 3-point show to Portland. It's 4:14 on the Fan.
The home of
3-864-6326. One of our listeners says, my go-to lie to people on vacation is that I sell erotic cakes.
That's a solid one right there. Who doesn't love a good travel
God.
alias when you're out and about?
And somebody else, same guy brings up, speaking of Cal, there was a kid named Kevin Hart who had a commitment ceremony where he picked a hat and committed to Cal. The only problem was he was never recruited by Cal or offered by any program.
I 100% remember that.
I
do
do too.
He had a signing day event at his school, signed a fake letter of intent.
There was an assembly and all the students showed up. It was a whole thing.
Mental illness is a hell of a thing. Like where did you think that was going? Like,
Right.
That,
yeah, right. Like,
huh?
you think, yeah, what's the end game there?
I don't know. Do you
They,
fake?
they're like, all right, Kevin, fine, we'll give you a scholarship.
I think honestly, maybe they're delusional enough that if all these 100 people are behind me and say, yeah, sure, great job, good luck at Cal, they'll be like, maybe we have a spot for you. I mean, it's that kind of delusion, though.
I think maybe you fake an injury, you fake a career ender, and you're like, hey, man, I was going to go play at Cal. And then, because you run into people at the gym all the time, and they love to tell me about how they almost played here and they almost played there. A lot of those. You're like, hey, man, I was committed to Cal, but, I got that damn knee injury, and it just destroyed. What was the knee injury? Just his knee injury. Don't just, no one's ever recovered from it. Just don't worry about it. Just couldn't play. Sneeze.
Steed Cream Roper, traveling erotic cake salesman.
The best is that Buck fell
Totally.
for Steve.
I ended up finding out there was an entire baseball Twitter account just devoted to made up names.
The best. That's the best made up name of all time is Steed Cream Roper. Well, that was the. I saw the inception of the Key and Peele where they did the college football teams. I saw an interview with. It was Keel. It wasn't the Jordan Peele guy. It was the tall, skinny one, and he said that they were playing like they were like playing video games or something, and on Madden, and some weird name popped up in between, like while they were working, and he was like, "That's someone's name." And he wasn't a big sports guy, and he goes, "If you think that's weird, wait till you see the college kids." And he said that's all he said to him. And he said he came back the next day, and Jordan Peele had written that entire sketch. He had gone back and written that entire one, and he said the only name he changed was it was his idea to do Dan Smith from BYU.
That was a good bit.
They said that was at the very end after all the names, Dan Smith, BYU. He said he wrote it all in one day, and he said that's just he took that idea and was like, I'm running with it. It's like Kringle McCringleberry or whatever.
Kringleberry, yeah.
They had Jack Marius, Tech Theratrix, TJ Juxon, DeMarcus Williams.
Yeah. Well, now in real life,
Tyroyle Smoochie Wallace.
every year they do the real team names, like the coldest to ever do it, and all these different ones.
Well, there are those brothers Rowdy and Rocky Beers. Those are like real tight ends.
Yeah. There was Buck Coors was a linebacker like at Wyoming, which, by the way, if I am adding a new alias, it's gonna be Buck Coors. They're saying nice to meet you, Buck Coors. Great name.
One of the guys they had on that Key and Peele skit was Donkey Teeth. He went to Boise State. My personal favorite is Sagittariat Jefferson
and
from Texas A&M.
And this guy's right. They said the game they were playing, the Madden, it was DeBrickashaw Ferguson.
Oh, is that what it
was the name that started it, where he
that
goes,
people could not believe it was real.
Yeah, like the Jordan Peele was like, that's not real, and he goes, oh, it's real. Look up college names; they're way worse, and that's what led DeBrickashaw Ferguson led to that sketch.
X-wing at Aliousness.
Well, God bless kids.
I mean, Colorado's got that kid Cavassier Smoke. That's wonderful.
That's a great name.
Well, that's
Smoke.
why the bit's so great is that it's not
that far out there. If you can have Cavassier Smoke, you can have, Kringle McDingleberry or whatever it is.
Swervathon L Goodling Splat. Oh my God. Beezer 12 Washing Beard. Great bit. If you guys haven't seen that, you got to look it up.
Look up Key and Peele, like college football. It's funny.
Caitlin, so one of our listeners tipped us off to this yesterday. Portland is hosting the NCAA Women's Regional.
Yes.
One of them this year.
And could we?
Yeah, there's a good chance Caitlin Clark will be coming here.
Tasty. Because I think they're back on a one line now.
Yeah, they're really good. And so they're going to probably play, I don't know, I'm having a hard time finding the actual bracket.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, they have the bracket, but they don't have like
where it's going to be.
the region set up yet. But it sounds like Albany, New York, or they'll host. So it's Albany or Portland, but they'll host probably first and second round.
Yeah.
And then likely be slid into Portland if they win those games.
That'd be freaking
You buying
awesome.
tickets?
Yeah, I would go see that. I'd probably get media passes, but I would go see Caitlin Clark. Would I pay?
I would too.
Yeah, depends on the ticket price.
What's the get-in price for women's NCAA tournament?
I don't know.
No idea, but
I
I'm
always-
guessing that price would be more than
normal.
what you would normally
I've gone
pay.
to all the well, not all, but every time we've had any of the regional games, I've gone to some of those. I've never paid. We always get media credentials, and then I just always kind of bounce around, and it's a fun time. And I'll bet you, if Caitlin Clark's here, I don't know if it's gonna be a full house, but there'll be a good raucous crowd.
Oh yeah, I bet that's a full house.
It's
to watch her play.
That's just a lot of people at Moda Center, but
20 G's,
especially because she doesn't being in the Big Ten right now is not playing this regional a lot.
But I think
but Iowa's gonna have a ton of fans.
They're gonna have a ton of fans, and I think we'll get a lot of.
I don't know. I think a lot of people will go watch. This is a big women's basketball market.
Yes, and like I said, I don't know if it's a sellout, but it's going to be it's going to be close to a full boat. There'll be a lot of people there, and it should be a great environment, especially if we get them because we'd get the Sweet 16, Elite 8.
Exactly. She would have a chance if they. I mean, she's got to win 3 games.
Yeah, win 3 games, but
you get to that 4th game, it's a shot to go to the Final Four.
Well, and if you got a Sweet 16, and
then
you're
maybe
playing,
you can storm the court and truck her over like that fan at Rutgers or whatever.
I'm gonna bring a sign that's gonna mock her for that, because that was a dive. Come on,
yeah, come on. They all dive.
She's great, but that's European soccer. I'd have to look at like the rankings, but in that Elite 8 round, I mean, what have you got like Iowa, UConn, or someone like that, where you got a real big, Tennessee, another great
South Carolina. Well, I guess South
they're
Carolina.
going to be a 1 seed too. Yeah. But if you got a big name playing her in the Elite 8 to go to the Final Four,
that'd be that LSU girl. Your girl,
Angel Reese.
Yeah, are they good? I would imagine they are.
I thought they were struggling to start the year, but I think they're picking it up as of late.
How about that? How about a Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese showdown?
God, that would sell out. That would 100%.
That would sell out anywhere across the country.
Well, they did when South Carolina played. It might have been LSU. South Carolina played LSU, and it was enormous.
That was the game that like beat the Celtics game that same night on TNT or something like that.
Well,
or
that was
ESPN?
the final, wasn't it?
No. That was this year.
This season, regular
season game, and it did massive numbers.
It beat like regular season marquee NBA action.
Yeah, it sold out, and tickets were going for a couple grand to get in the door. I mean, they said it was one of the biggest regular season games women have ever seen. By the way, LSU is 13, so
that could be a 2.
Yeah, you get something like that in
1,
the Elite
2.
8. How about this? What if the Beavs? Because our Beavs are top 10. What if the Beavs ended up, you got Caitlin Clark against the hometown Beavs?
Would they send the Beavs out to Portland?
Probably.
Or would they throw them?
Probably not. They'd probably have to throw them out somewhere
Albany?
else. But because if you're the 1 seed, you don't want to see Oregon State in Oregon. That would be
I'd be pissed.
Yeah, it wouldn't be good. But I was just looking at like teams that you could see play them, in that region, and I'm looking at Colorado, UCLA, LSU, Indiana. UConn's 15. I'll tell you right now, sign me up. UConn, with Gino against Caitlin Clark in the Elite 8, Moda Center. I'll pay for that. I'd plunk down my money and watch that.
Well, it could happen.
Yeah, it'd be awesome.
Caitlin could be coming to Portland.
Yeah,
we'll keep an eye on that.
That's kick ass.
All right. In the news is coming up next. We had a cell outage today. One of Portland's most prolific graffiti vandals is in custody.
Oh. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
And we have a flight from Seattle to Vegas that got bloody. That's next. Here's Buck.
Now.
is important to everyone. I've never gotten to the point where I'm like, you know what I don't care about.
Yeah, it does seem like it's paramount in his family specifically, and
Yeah.
that's a little odd.
That is odd.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that he's raising awareness for it, but at the same time, Henry, we get it, man. It's
What is it? Macular degeneration?
macular degeneration. Like if I started going blind, I would assume that it's important for all of us.
Do you want to know what's important to me? My body.
I would assume, yeah,
All of it.
yes, except my pinkies. I've said
Including my rods and cones.
I could get rid of my pinkies and I don't care. Other than that, I like my body.
Yeah, it's just weird to hear him say that. And I love Henry Winkler.
It throws me off I'm with you. Every time I hear it, I have that
My eyes are very important to me.
They were very important to him, to his father-in-law. And I'm like, I just think of Larry David and being like,
Well, isn't that everyone?
By the way, the new
Well,
episode
it's
of
just your father-in-law. It's not your father.
Yeah, that was a bit there.
the new episode of
It was
Curb
so good.
is amazing.
The new season is really, really, really good.
That third episode, though, hit it out of the park. There were about 6 or 7 good bits in that one.
All right. It is.
Focus.
It is February
22nd.
2024. It's time for In the News. I'm your Notre Newsman. Hello. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Oh no.
Today is National Chili Day.
I had chili last night. I had a little cup of chili.
You
I
did?
did. I didn't know it was National Chili Day or I guess today, but
And it is National Margarita Day. Did you have margarita with your chili?
I did not. I had 2 old fashions and a cup of chili. That was my dinner.
So we had a big AT&T cell outage today.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
Did that affect you?
No, it did not. But I had a buddy of mine that was very unhappy. I guess it was like last night into today.
Oh, it was?
Yeah.
It didn't affect me either.
I don't have AT&T, so
I do.
It did not get me. I am the Zach Braff, the T-Mobile. I'm a T-Mobile guy.
Tens of thousands of AT&T customers were left without service for hours today
Oh no.
for their home phone, internet, and mobile phone services. The outages started popping up just before 12:30 our time. Just before 1, the number of reports began to decline to nearly 5,000 after spiking to more than 73,000. Well, that's
Start-
not that many.
Start getting better.
Most users still impacted. 51% say they are having issues with their mobile phone service. And of course, this is leading us to speculate that it's a cyber attack
Yes.
and the Russians. It's probably Putin.
When in doubt, blame the Russians.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I saw someone the other day go, I'm so tired of the Russians. Just once I want it to be like, just give me I want the New Zealand. I want
It was the Spanish this time around.
give me the Spaniards, right? Give me someone in the Republic of Congo. Just give me
Those damn
some,
Latvians.
give me someone else. I'm tired of the Russian villain. Give me something. Maybe the Belarus or something. Give me an offshoot of Russia. And by the way, am I the only one that I love, again, the convenience of the cell phone, all that, but does anyone besides me just occasionally long for the days where when you'd leave the house, no one was able to get a hold of you for like 12 hours?
I sometimes do that when I golf. I leave my phone in the car.
Yeah, you're like,
Sorry.
I'm gone.
Yeah.
It's kind of it's a wonderful feeling
It is.
when you're just like, it's good luck.
A 27-year-old suspect dubbed one of Portland's most prolific graffiti vandals has been arrested
Boom.
and charged in connection with tags across the city. His name is Jerry Mihanj.
Me not gonna graffiti anymore.
How would you pronounce this? It's Mijangos. Mijanos?
Yeah, let's go with that. That
Jerry
actually
Mijanos?
that sounds like there's some good flow to it. I like that.
They arrested him on a probation violation. 8 counts of criminal mischief related to tagging.
So he'll serve 6 hours in prison?
Probably.
I don't want there to be a thing where you're sitting in prison for years and years for petty crimes, but dude, we have got to start growing some balls and holding some people accountable and actually having some repercussions. We just have to.
Hey, that brings me to my next story.
Ooh, I like it.
This from opb.org.
Mhm.
Oregon Democrats agree to stronger criminal penalties for drug possession.
Thank God.
How about that?
How about some forced treatment?
Look at the snowflakes coming around.
Yeah. Well, I saw recently that old Gavin Newsom down in California proposed like a new $6 billion project to fight the homeless, and everyone's pissed about it because they're saying it's forced treatment and it's not fair to the people. And I'm like, well, what would you like people to do? Like everyone just like we're just at this point now where we're like, well, you can't do this, you can't do that. Well, then
So we're just gonna accept the overall decay of society.
This is just
instead.
where we're at. We're like, well, nothing we can do. Well, you can't put people in prison for being homeless. I understand that, but there has to be some consequences. There has to be something where you force people to get some help, or there's consequences.
Oregon Democrats would enact stiffer potential criminal penalties for drug possession than they initially planned under a negotiated bill that could get a hearing as early as Friday.
Thank God.
In a bid to win support for their wide-ranging proposal to address the state's addiction crisis, top Dems have now agreed to allow jail sentences of up to 180 days for people caught with small amounts of drugs like fentanyl, meth, and heroin.
Well, and during those 180 days, is it within our power to say, would you like to serve 180 days in prison, or would you like to try to go get clean? Like,
aren't you going to get clean over?
Yeah, aren't you going to be forced to get clean there?
Well, I think that's the problem. Is I think that you can still find ways to.
Really?
Yeah. But
at least you crack down on that.
Can we try something other than just we got to be fair to them? Can we be fair to the rest of us? It's like
the party had insisted for weeks that 30 days was more practical, but that idea prompted fierce pushback from strong Republicans.
Yeah, because what does 30 days do? Again, 30 days does nothing. Let's try 180.
Keep an eye on this bill. It is called House Bill. They're naming this one House Bill 4002. And it is expected to be released in the coming days.
Remember when we had that bill where we were going to ban camping, and it was like, we're going to give you your first thing was like $100 fine, and then it was like $180 fine, and then we were going to threaten you with prison, but then they came out and said, under no circumstance will anyone be arrested. And so we're like, so you're writing people 2 tickets that they can't and won't pay, and then the third time they do it, you're going to arrest them, but you just said that you won't arrest them. So really, you've done nothing.
Well, and you remember that whole thing where they had the provision that police had to connect people with treatment?
Yeah.
Rather than take them to jail?
Yeah.
They are weakening that provision in this new bill. Backtracking big time on that.
Yeah.
It was worth a shot.
Someone saying no penalty for cocaine possession, though? Asking for a friend?
It didn't say cocaine.
Hey,
Look, come on.
Hey.
Let's not go
we
too
don't
far.
want to go overboard here. Just,
And the Dems are saying, hey, we're listening to the people.
Well, I would hope so. I would think that as a society, we're looking around and being like, well, this doesn't work for anybody, including the poor people with mental health and fentanyl addictions on the street. But I swear, every time they try to do something, I read about these in the paper, and there's always some advocate that are like, this is unfair to those people.
Yeah, it's always a vocal minority, you know.
It's always unfair.
Like some special interest group. Yeah. Hey, this is wild. Let's go Seattle to Vegas on Alaska Airlines. A man is accused of attacking and stabbing another passenger on a Vegas-bound flight with a homemade weapon.
Ooh, like a prison shank?
His name is Julio Lopez. He faces 1 count of assault with a dangerous weapon. He was traveling, this was in January. He was traveling on an Alaska flight from Seattle to Vegas when he attempted to stab a passenger in the eye.
Oh.
After returning from a trip to the bathroom, Lopez allegedly began punching and hitting a man seated across the aisle from him.
Don't do that.
Lopez also allegedly hit the victim's wife as she shielded their 7-year-old son. Terrifying.
Good grief.
During the altercation, the victim's wife was screaming at the defendant to stop hitting her husband. A witness unbuckled her seatbelt and yelled at the defendant to stop.
Well, that ought to do
Thank God she was there.
Thank God she was there to give someone a talking to.
Yeah, why did they put that in there?
Hey,
why is that
stop.
detail even
Oh,
in
put her in the story.
I was about to stab this dude in the eye, but then I heard Karen yelling, stop. And you know what I said? She's right. I should stop.
Investigators later found a weapon which was made with a bundle of pens and rubber bands. The witness told investigators there was blood everywhere. And then after the attack, Lopez, who's the perp, started screaming, "I'll only talk to the FBI."
Well, clearly
deranged.
Clearly he likes his meth.
Well, do you want to know what he was thinking?
Yeah.
Yes.
Would you
Well,
care to know?
I like that he I mean, clearly he went on the plane with the intention of stabbing someone in the eye because it was premeditated shank.
They were able to restrain him. There was a law enforcement officer who was on the flight who got him subdued, and they put flex cuffs on him.
Oh, right.
So they restrained him.
Got the little zippy ties.
During an interview at the airport, Lopez allegedly told officials that he felt the mafia had been chasing him and that he had never seen the victim, but planned on killing him as he believed he was being followed.
Oh, so he thought he was part of the mafia.
Little bout with paranoia.
Yeah.
Well, you know, meth is a hell of a drug. But hey, we got to make sure in all our new rules that we're fair to this guy. We don't want to force treatment on him or anything. You know, that would be unfair.
Man, that's crazy.
Yeah, imagine you just sitting there on the airplane and meanwhile some dude tries to stab you with a prison shank because he thinks that you're part of the mob.
Well, and it doesn't say it doesn't say how the guy is.
Well, I mean,
the victim.
Well, there was blood, but we don't necessarily. I would think if he lost the eye, maybe we would have said that.
Does he need to contact Henry Winkler? Are his eyes even important to him?
Maybe
you have to ask this question.
You do. Well, and it was only one eye, so maybe he's,
Yeah, we have two of them.
Yeah, you get a cool eye patch, or got a Thor thing going, Thor Odin thing going for you. I don't know how that works.
Well, there may be more holes in the sky where a tree once stood.
Oh boy.
4:45 on the Fan.
This is the Fan's Window into Sports, a view into today's top stories. Brought to you by Window Nation, online at windownation.com.
Hernandez will drill it in the air to left field. That's well hit by Teoscar Hernandez. That ball is down on a hop and over the wall. That is quite the start in Dodger blue for Teoscar Hernandez. A 2-run ground rule double on his first swing in play as a Dodger, and it's Los Angeles with the first runs of spring training in 2024.
Yeah, the Dodgers scored 8 on the Padres in the first inning. By the way, Teoscar is going to go to the Dodgers and be awesome.
I was going to say, does anyone have any doubt that he's going to hit 35 and drive in like 110?
No doubt. No doubt.
100%.
The Fan's Window into Sports brought to you by Window Nation. Get 50% off all window styles, plus pay nothing with no interest for 2 full years at windownation.com.
It's back by popular demand.
You're playing golf and you're going to like it.
The 1080
There may be more holes in the sky where a tree once stood here locally.
I bet you someone's making money.
It's interesting. Should we revisit that real quick?
I think people know, right?
Unwelcome sight in the neighborhood. A developer is being greedy. There's a hole in the sky where a tree once stood.
It's over?
No.
Such a lack of life and sound. All that's left is bare, muddy ground. A magnificent tree was murdered. The mighty dollar cut it down. There's a hole in the sky where the tree once was. Somebody's making money. Stand up. There's a hole in the sky where the tree once was. Somebody's making money. Laws protect exceptional trees, but the city grants exemptions to these. Instead, they reward the developer's greed and sanction the murderer's deeds. There's a hole in the sky where the tree once was. Somebody's making money. What? There's a hole in the sky where the tree once was. Somebody's making money. No more leaves shimmering with golden light. No more gentle shedding of rains. Nor tulip blossoms rustling in the wind. Now nothing remains but that hole in the sky.
Yes.
Where the tree once
She got everyone.
was. Somebody's making money. There's a hole in the sky where the tree once was. Somebody's making money. There's a hole in the sky,
We've never gotten this far in the song. This is great.
I've never heard this much of it before.
This is like when you hear the third verse of the Star Spangled Banner. You're like, what?
Yeah.
You're like, what?
90-year-old tree. There's a hole in the sky. That tree did not belong to you or me. There's
That's
a
right.
hole in the sky where the tree should be.
Okay, we play that because now that was from Seattle City Council a couple years ago.
What are you talking about?
No one knows.
Well, look, they were not happy with trees being cut down for developments.
no.
Tree huggers, come on.
Yeah.
We're in the Northwest.
Yeah.
Come on. This is exactly what we're talking about with, special interests, the tail wagging the dog. They're very vocal.
They let you know.
Well, it's not exactly the same, but PGE is considering cutting down trees in Forest Park.
That's not going to work for people. Is this because every time there's a windstorm, it takes out all the power?
Well,
I'm assuming that's why.
No, they said that they have been contacting customers to get feedback about this project. They want to expand their power line system. And of course, you know what that means.
That's making money. No, you can't have it.
I think that is making money.
That is. And it's cutting down trees.
Unwelcome sight in the neighborhood.
It's an unwelcome sight in the neighborhood.
Being greedy.
Those
PGE is being greedy.
Sons of bitches.
We need to call her.
And tell her that she needs to get down to the next
Yep.
city council meeting.
What do you think she's up to?
Probably going around. I'll bet you. If I'm willing to guess that if you contacted her and said, "Hey, we need you," I'll bet she shows up. She'll probably put a stop to this too.
does too.
Yeah, I think the thing about her, wasn't she like a former, she's like a musician.
Is she?
I mean, I know it doesn't sound like it,
You wouldn't know it.
but
Hey, dude, you're telling me?
Unwelcome sight in the
I
neighborhood.
couldn't write that
A
song.
developer is
no,
being
that's great stuff,
You know,
especially just for city council.
She couldn't write that song either.
someone said, "Rob, I'll give you $20 if you sing that song in an Australian."
Well, Australians sing more like,
Yeah, just Americans.
yeah, I've always
It-
thought that's
yeah.
very strange.
Like when you listen to, well, I think that way about everything. Like when Keith Urban sings,
Yeah.
you're like, what? Like I really like. Have you ever heard the Celtic Women?
No.
It's a.
Are they hot?
They are. And they sing like they sing Christmas carols a lot. It's a bunch of hots and they sing, and they're all Irish. And to hear them talk with the thickest Irish brood you've ever heard, and then you hear them sing, you're like, where did that go?
Yeah, why? I don't understand that.
It's very strange.
Why that happens.
I don't know.
Well, hikers say they are concerned.
Well, they should be. Damn developers.
The appealing thing about Forest Park is it gives people a chance to be in the forest, even though they're in the middle of the city. And a Portland resident named Cassandra was out there on a rainy Monday morning, and she said the park trails provide people the break that they need, and we don't need power.
No, we don't need power. We need trees.
Unwelcome sight
It
in
is
the
unwelcome.
neighborhood. A developer
And by the
is
way,
being
I don't
greedy.
know what this is because I'm never going to look it up. But when you walk down, I live right off McGilvery in Vancouver, and there's signs everywhere like every 5 feet that said "Save our streets." There's something going down in Vancouver where they're trying to save the streets.
There's something going on in the neighborhood.
There is something going down in my neighborhood, and I don't know what it is, and I'm not going to bother to look it up. But
somebody's making money.
Someone's making money, and they're not happy about it. It's called SaveVancouverStreets.com, or I don't know. But
they have a website. Okay, that's better.
Yeah, it's a very they are everywhere. And I keep walking by, and I can't tell how many times I've been like, hey, I wonder what's happening. And then I get home, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to do that.
Here it is right here.
Yeah.
Let's read.
Is someone making money?
The city of Vancouver plans to remove vehicle travel lanes along Southeast McGilvery, Southeast 34th, and a number of other local streets. This is being done without community involvement.
What do you mean a travel lane?
And reasonably addressing neighborhood concerns. Please get involved.
What do you mean? What is a travel lane?
Well, let's take a look. I'm already confused.
So it's a 2-lane road each way. Are they going to make it a 1-lane road? Anybody? I don't know.
I have to click another.
This is why I don't look things up. I just know that if you walk around my neighborhood, someone's making money, they're not happy about it, and we need to save our streets. And it says all the signs are like, get involved, and then I'm not getting involved.
I think it's just bike stuff. Okay, so see this picture? This is probably the best way to show you. See that photo there?
Yeah.
So that's normally a 2-lane road there. That's probably McGilvery.
Yeah, that looks like McGilvery.
Are there 2 lanes on each side?
Yes.
Yeah, so look what they're doing.
So it's just a 1-lane road.
They're going to do one, and then it looks like pedestrian and bike.
Sons of bitches. So what I'm going to get stuck behind old grandma going down McGilvery and being forced to go 25. Because people do fly down that road.
Yeah, I think they're going to. I'm all for it. You know what? What are they pissed about? This is great. This is great for the community.
My rage will know no bounds. If I get
stuck. You for it or against it?
Against it. Okay. Because now I got no way to go around the person that's actually, no one goes, it's a 25-mile-an-hour speed limit. No one goes 25.
Well, the olds.
Exactly. The olds do. And that neighborhood is full of olds, which means you're going to get stuck behind someone going 23 miles an hour, and there's going to be no way to go around it.
I will say that in this rendering that they have here, those bike and walking lanes are enormous. Oh, like normally they have the little the little bike lane. Yeah. You stay on that.
So basically you're going to turn 1 lane of traffic into a lane of walking and biking.
It's like a giant sidewalk.
Can I start a campaign against? Well, I guess this campaign is already against it.
Yeah, you're for these guys.
I'm for these
You
guys.
Want to sign up for this. I'm going to start a campaign against them.
I'll be damned.
I love it.
I'll be damned.
Oh, wait, I'm for it.
So now I got to be an activist. I got to get out there and mix things up.
Somebody's being greedy.
Someone is being greedy. Sons of bitches, I knew it.
That's your in the news, Feb 22, 2024. Coming up next is the Hot 5 at 5. We have sports news.
Sports.
Yeah. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
It's 4:57. This is The Fan.
Come on!
Hello, sports fans. It's Marcus from the 808. How's it, cuz? You busy?
Hope you're having a nice little, what is today?
Thursday.
Thursday?
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
beautiful
Thursday.
outside. Sun shining.
Sure is. It's
Yeah.
Rop and Sook. I'm Rop. Big Sook right over there.
Right here.
Now, we will not get Big Sook tomorrow
Or Monday.
but he will be back for our X-Golf Tualatin show on Tuesday.
Probably worse for the wear. Just buckle up. Be a little haggard. I'm going to take my lumps.
Or just keep the party going. There's
That's
a bar
true.
there.
That's true.
Let's go.
Yeah. I mean, I get in a little before my lady and like her boss, so I have some time to kill at the airport. So
she's got like a work trip going.
She's got a work trip going,
and
so,
you're just
yeah, I'm just tagging along,
piggybacking off of that.
Yeah, her boss likes to throw down and have a good time, so I'm like, you like to party? We like to party. Let's do this. Let's go.
Well, tomorrow it's going to be Buck and I,
baby.
out at the Portland Auto Show.
I am a little bummed because that is, of the places we go, that's one of my favorites. I actually really like the auto shows.
Actually, they've changed it. It's the Oregon Auto Show.
Yeah, no longer Portland.
Yeah, it's all of Oregon.
Yeah, I like the Vroom Vroom show.
So we'll be out there. If you're out at the convention center, make sure you stop by and give Buck a high five.
Yeah, because he doesn't get out of the cage very often.
The producers never do. Even
I know.
every time you guys are on location, we're usually tied to the desk. But
Is
that'll
that
be
gonna-
Schultzy tomorrow.
Is that going to feel like a day off to you, or is it going to be?
It won't feel like a day off. It'll just feel different. And it'll
True
be
story.
the tasks are different. You know,
Well, Sook has an easy job.
That's true.
of course.
I mean,
Hands down.
sits over there and
Yeah, whatever.
It won't feel like a
Spews.
day off, but it'll feel much different.
all right. Well, I'm excited about it. The listeners are excited about it.
We
Big
are
Sook's
excited about it.
Everybody's excited about it.
Yeah, me and the French Quarter. That's what I'm excited about.
Mhm.
Me at the blacksmiths.
Oh.
We're gonna have a good time.
Own part emojis.
I found out why. So I just a quick Google search. You know, it's funny how that sometimes renders answers
Well, yeah.
to questions.
Basically, all of the universe's questions are available at your fingertips, and yet we're dumber than ever.
So when you sing, we were asking why people from other countries with accents,
Sing
when they sing, it sounds like there's just American English.
Yeah, because we don't sing in British accents.
And it says in singing, syllables are lengthened, airflow is increased, and articulation is less precise. Thus, we get a more generic, neutralized accent that happens to share features with American varieties of English.
I feel like somewhere there is a weird ultra-right Christian person that believes that this just backs up our claim that that white Jesus favors us over everybody. It's
Wow.
the natural way of America's the natural way of doing things. I feel like there's people that are going to be running with that.
Socially, there is an expectation that popular music will be sung this way. So I wonder when that will shift. And everybody will start singing.
You
like-
will not replace us. Someone will be very angry when we start singing in accents. It's not gonna fly. These colors don't run, Rob. Not in country music.
All right. More college sports Thursday reach around coming up. We'll tell you how Nick Saban. Well, he doesn't really say how he's going to fix college football,
But he will fix college.
but he's going to tell you what he hates about college football.
I love when people are like, "There's a problem," and that problem can only be solved by one man. I'm not here to say who that man is, but I think we know who that is.
But
Yeah,
what else? Oh, let's get to the. Well, okay, we may get to the new fun game of who could have had him. Draft edition.
the NFL. I'm assuming.
Well, it doesn't have to be.
Oh,
I mean, this is true in all
I
sports.
just thought with the NFL draft coming up, maybe. we'd
Well,
be
I was
focused
looking
on
at Patrick Mahomes.
that. 11th, right?
Yeah, 10th or 11th.
I thought it was 12. Is it 11?
I don't. Whatever.
We've now gone 10, 11, 12. How about this? Somewhere in the beginning to the middle part of the NFL draft, the Kansas City Chiefs moved up in the draft and got Mahomes.
But I always love these exercises where you look at what team passed on a guy and what that could have meant to that franchise.
Sure.
There's a
It
lot
was
of these. He was 10th.
Was it 10th?
The guy picked 9th. I went back and looked just because I just forgot. Oh my God.
Yeah.
But that franchise is fine because they ended up getting another franchise quarterback. Anyway, kind of fun.
Yeah.
We'll get to that. Now, tonight in the club, Bobby was a fraud. It turns out. I don't know if you.
Yeah, I saw.
Do you remember
This was
story?
wild.
Yeah, we talked about this when it happened. That the world's oldest dog. We were suspicious.
You thought he was on Dog HGH?
Yeah, it just seemed a little weird, seemed a little odd. And whenever I hear these stories, again, I get very skeptical. I'm like, I need more. They're always very vague, and I don't like vague stories. I need details.
And we have some entertainment news for you. Right now, the Hot 5 at 5.
Hot topics, hot opinions,
Oh, Charlie, I'm hot today.
and hot air. It's time for the Hot 5 at 5.
That's hot.
The Hot 5 at 5 on Primetime with Isaac and Sue.
No, I mean it. That's very hot.
The Hot 5 at 5 with Isaac and Sue. Brought to you on The Fan by Victorico's Mexican Food, the most popular burrito spot in Oregon. Online at victoricos.com. Number 5.
Well, it's kind of a big night in Pac-12 hoops. If you haven't been following, number 16 Washington State, they have not won a league title since 1941.
Yeah, it's been a while.
But they're in the hunt. They're visiting number 4 Arizona tonight. It'll be on FS1. If the Cougs win, they go to bed on top of the conference with just 4 games left.
They haven't made the NCAA tournament since 2008. Tony Bennett was there, and they're gonna make the tournament. They're squarely in from everything I've read. So either way, it's a great year with Kyle Smith and the Cougs, but wouldn't that be something if they were in sole possession of first place?
The Ducks, our Ducks, your Ducks, visit Stanford tonight. They're actually a slight underdog. That game will be here on The Fan with pregame beginning at 7:30.
Number 4.
Spring training is underway. The Dodgers begin on a pace to score 72 runs per game.
Seems like a lot.
They dropped 8 in the first inning on Joe Musgrove and the Padres. He did not record an out.
That makes me happy because I think he's a douche.
The final score was 14-1. Mariners' first game is Saturday. Infielder Tim Anderson, formerly of the White Sox, he is signed with the Miami Marlins. Mitch Keller re-ups with the Bucks, 5 years, $77 million, and already a pitching injury for the Mets. Kodai Senga, shut down indefinitely with a shoulder injury.
He got a strain in the back of his shoulder, and so they're saying that their GM was like, well, he's not going to be there for opening day, but we expect him to make some starts this year. Just, I'm waiting for the inevitable. He's done for the year. Just, whatever. At least he made it to spring training, unlike Diaz last year. Welcome to the Mets. I'm already depressed.
At least he made it.
At least he made it to spring. Day 1 of spring training. we got guys dropping. Cool, everybody.
The Chiefs are giving punter Matt Ariza, a.k.a. Punt God, a job.
Good for him.
Currently, their punter in Kansas City, Tommy Townsend, he's an unrestricted free agent. So Ariza, this is the guy that was accused of raping a 17-year-old girl in 2021, but he was dropped from her lawsuit. He, in turn, dropped his defamation suit against her. So she totally made it up.
Yes. He wasn't even there.
But he didn't. So he was a 6th-round draft pick of the Bills, never played in a game. They cut him after this allegation. He has not been in the league since. The Chiefs are going to make him their punter.
Good for him. And he goes to a great organization, and I hope him nothing but the best. I mean, and I get he just wanted this to be over, but in some ways I'm pissed because, again, I'm not doubting what happened to her. He was not there. He left the party like a half hour to 45 minutes before anything even happened, and she singled him out. That dude's life was in
I don't think she singled him out. She named a bunch of people,
but he was one of them specific,
named, and she later dropped him.
Yes,
she still has a lawsuit against other dudes, but he was dropped.
He wasn't there.
The Seahawks have restructured the contract of quarterback Geno Smith. They converted his $9.6 million roster bonus to a signing bonus, which creates almost $5 million in cap space.
Yeah, Geno, he settled down a little bit this year, but I think Geno is now kind of what we all know, one of those bridge quarterbacks where he's a nice, solid starter. But if you're Seattle, with the roster you have and what you're building, you better start looking for your next guy because Geno isn't the long-term answer there, but he also doesn't leave you with a big gaping hole. He's a nice, solid starting quarterback in this league.
The NBA season resumes tonight, but not your Blazers.
No, they go tomorrow.
In the East, it's Boston and everyone else, but in the West, 4 teams are separated by just 3 games at the top. You've got Minnesota, Oklahoma City, the Clippers, and the Nuggets. Denver will be here tomorrow.
Yeah, Denver, when healthy, is just a juggernaut. They've just been beat up and have kind of like that championship hangover where they don't care.
Pistons Isaiah Stewart suspended 3 games for punching our own Drew Eubanks.
Yeah.
The court case has also been dropped.
Yeah, they dropped all charges. So he got 3 games and a little fine for punching him. I wonder if he's like good.
I'm
Like,
guessing the video of that is not nearly as
I know. I want
shocking as it sounds.
I want it to come out. Let's go.
76ers halftime, they are getting boat raced by the Knicks, 69-46. And another good one tonight, Suns Mavs. Early in the second, the Suns have a 7-point lead in Dallas. And number 1, EA Sports is releasing College Football 25 this summer with over 11,000 players' likenesses.
Yeah, there's already shocker. There's already scandal and controversy.
This is the first college football video game from them since 2013. Now, the fun this year is that any player who opts in with his likeness will get paid.
Yep.
$600 and a copy of the game.
So, of course, there's a bunch of people that are pissed, shocker, that they're saying that this is horse crap. It's not enough. The NFL guys get like 17 grand to be in Madden. What these dumbasses don't realize is there's 32 teams. There's like 134 teams. And I'm sorry, but if you're the left guard at Ohio State, you don't get $17,000. Go away. So there's some talk of like Caleb Williams and maybe some of these guys opting out and whatever. Have at it. But for most people, $600 and a free game and the thrill of being in it. For one, I used to love the college football game. I was in those, just 68 from BYU. Having my name in there, that's cool. And you get $600 for doing jack squat.
So there's talk of guys opting out
yes,
just because it's not enough money.
Well, for like the Caleb Williamses of the world, or let's say, and I'm not saying he is, but Bo Nix or Michael Penix, they may look at this and be like, I'm making millions off NIL, right? My name is worth a certain thing. I'm a Heisman Trophy finalist. Why should I be getting the same as the left guard at Iowa? And to the NCAA people, they're probably, or EA Sports, looking at it back, how the hell are we supposed to individually negotiate with 1,000 different athletes? In the NFL, it's all collectively bargained through the NFLPA.
And they all get a flat rate?
You get a flat rate.
Okay.
I was in
Tom Brady doesn't make more than...
No. When I was in the Madden game, and at the time it was nothing. You get a couple shekels. It was like $1,000 or something.
Now it's 17 G's?
I think it's like 17 G's now for
Damn,
it. So yeah, you just get a flat check and that's the end of it. It's collectively bargained. Whereas the NCAA doesn't have a union. They can't collectively bargain. So EA Sports is like, here's what it is. And if you choose to opt into it, you get your name in there. And if you don't, then USC's quarterback will just be number 13 and will be really good.
Right.
So, it's up for you to decide whether or not you want to do it.
The Hot 5 at 5 brought to you by Victorico's Mexican Food, the most popular burrito spot in Oregon. Order now at victoricos.com. What Nick Saban is saying about college football. He hates it.
Well, he's not necessarily wrong.
He thinks it's broken. And it did drive him out of the game.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's Division I football!
So for some reason he spoke today, and we'll tell you what he said next on The Fan.
Yeah. The home of Dirt and Spray.
I'm Dirt.
Nick Saban saying I'm
Nick Saban, good old little Nicky there.
I hope we elect to kick ass is what I hope we do.
It's kind of become the, I mean, rightfully so, but he's kind of become the, I don't know what you say, just the de facto voice of college football. And I think because he's obviously very accomplished, best to ever do it. He's a red ass, so the old school guys like him, but he's also not a bury my head in the sand and won't evolve red ass. Is embraced spreads and NIL and was paying players even before that. So I think he's a nice mixture of old new red ass but somewhat progressive, and he seems to care about the game.
Yeah, he definitely cares. So he's kind of lobbying. Well, you're right. He has the resume. He's very, very, very well respected. You can't find a more respected guy, really, in the sport. And he is also willing to speak out, and he has been vocal about this for several years now. But it sounds like it's what drove him out of the game to retire. And he's old, but he's,
final straw.
Yeah, exactly. So I think 73. But he seems to be lobbying for any sort of college football commissioner gig if that were to ever come up. But at the same time, I think he's a smart guy. But there's something about me that says if college football ever had a commissioner, do we really want a 73-year-old white guy that spent years in the SEC, who, by the way, was the same guy who wanted to get rid of the hurry up offense because he couldn't stop it?
Yeah, I see where you're going.
I mean,
with that.
he's not that progressive, but on this on this topic, he seems to be calling it like it is.
Sure.
And a lot of people agree with him. So here's what he said. He was out. I don't know what he's doing, talking sometimes these coaches, they retire, they go away. You never hear from him again. Yeah. Nick Saban doesn't stay out of the headlines.
No, and it sounds like he is going to be around. Like he's got an office at Tuscaloosa. He's going to do some college football stuff with ESPN.
That ought to go well.
He's not going to go away.
And he can rake in so much cash still just showing up at appearances, speaking engagements.
Well, he's doing
like
game
that.
day. Yeah. They put him on.
That's what I'm saying. He's going to be around.
He'll be busy.
He's not going away.
So he said Wednesday that he isn't retired from doing his part to help bring reform and uniformity and common sense to college football.
And by the way, I don't necessarily think that that's any sort of power play. I really do believe that he is a guy that loves
he cares
the sport, and he cares, and I think it can be misguided, but I think it's coming from a good place.
And he cares about the kids.
Yes.
He says, if my voice can bring about some meaningful change, I want to help any way I can because I love the players and I love college football. What we have now is not college football. Not college football as we know it. You hear somebody use the word student athlete, that doesn't exist.
Yes. And that's where I like that he is not one of these idiots. And I'm not just throwing that out there, idiots that are going to try to pretend that the student athlete model is something that that you can go back to. He understands that the cat has left the bag and it is not going back in.
I think he left the barn.
The barn. Yeah. Well, the cat's out of the bag.
Well, the cat was in the bag, but I think the saying is the barn.
Is it?
No, the cat's out of the bag. The hay is in the barn.
Yeah. See, the cat.
The hay's out of the barn.
Yeah, because the cat was out of the bag.
The horses are out of the barn. The hay is in the barn.
Well,
damn it.
Back in the day, it was illegal, I think, to sell pigs. And so people would sell pigs in sacks and they would snooker you by putting a cat in there and then sell you the pig.
I did not know that.
Yeah. And that's why when the person would take the bag and they would go, and then you would fool them with, they would open it up and it would be a cat. And you're like, aha.
The ruse is up when the cat's out of the bag. Okay.
Cat's out of the bag.
Okay. My bad. Anyway, go ahead.
What was I saying?
I derailed you.
Saban.
Oh, just the idea that, it can't go back to the way it was. It has become a multi-billion-dollar business, realignment, all this stuff, salaries. Because I hear people all the time that are like, what's wrong with going back to scholarships? Wake up. That Congress has told you that ain't happening. And this is the biggest problem that people are going to have. Almost every suggestion I hear from people to talk about putting constraints on the NCAA and the transfer portal and NIL. I don't know if you're aware, there's 8 million lawsuits going on right now, and the NCAA keeps getting their ass kicked in them. The moment you start trying to put restrictions on what can and can't happen, welcome to the world of lawsuits and antitrust. The entire state of Tennessee and was it Virginia?
So
that are suing the NCAA
Yeah,
right
so
now.
the question is what happens now? What does this look like moving forward? And it's really clunky and really hard for a lot of people. And this is what led to Adam Schefter saying the other day that a lot of the college coaches are sniffing around the NFL now. They just want no part of what's happening in college football.
Call me when this all gets settled.
And he said, so Saban said, I'm not really looking for a job, but I do know I would like to impact college football the best way I can, whether it's being a spokesperson or anything else. Listen, I'm for the players. It's not that I'm not for the players. I want to see the players have a great quality of life and be able to create value for themselves. But we've gone to nobody talking about education, nobody talking about creating value for their future, to talking about how much money can I make while I'm in college. I think the consequence of this could come down the road when some of these guys get 28, 29 years old, that maybe they didn't prepare themselves for when they can't play football anymore, which is what you should do when you go to college.
Yeah.
So that's
again, he's
sensible.
Yes, he's saying that, like, look, we've got to. You can't go back to the olden days, but at the same time, you can't lose the nature of not everyone's going to be a first-round pick, including guys at Alabama.
So he wants to see more sensible dialogue about how to help college football start moving forward, and that we definitely need. He says, one of the trickier issues is how to best compensate players, and Saban reiterated that he is for players earning money based on their name, image, and likeness once they get on campus. He said, but what you have now isn't name, image, and likeness.
Yes.
A collective has nothing to do with NIL.
Nope.
He said he would like to see any player compensation model that is created to be brought in-house at the various schools and taken away from the donor-based collectives. Of course, then there would be Title IX issues.
Yes.
He said people can give money to the university again and get a tax deduction for doing it. And the university, in some kind of way, shares, whether it's share revenue, whether it's buying marketing rights, which is a possibility. You can buy somebody's marketing rights as an institution, and I don't want to, and I don't want to say cap, because that sounds like a salary cap. But find a way for schools to invest the same amount of money in players, just like everybody can invest the same amount in a scholarship. This becomes a part of the scholarship.
Problem with this is, again, going back to antitrust lawsuits, is the moment you tell a player that he can make $1 million on his name, image, and likeness, but not $1.3 million, he's going to simply say, you're not allowed to do that.
You can't deny me my right to make
Can't
money.
deny me my right. You can't tell me how much my name, image, and likeness is worth.
Right. But again, this is why I say about Saban, he's not the perfect guy. He's trying to roll this back.
Yes.
He's trying to slow this down.
Yep.
It's not going to be slowed down. It's not going to be rolled back.
Yeah.
It's got to be moved forward.
Yeah.
And that ain't it right there.
No.
I mean, that's him saying, whoa, let's slow down and go back to just name, image, and likeness, and we'll put it in the sky. No, dude.
Again, this is why I appreciate what people are saying. I appreciate the sentiment, but this is the problem, is that the train has already moved past it. Unless you have national legislation, and this is why so many people want Congress to act, but it doesn't sound, everything I've read sounds like you're not going to get this passed. I mean, shocker that our federal government doesn't do many things together, and they don't want to deal with this. So it is, the problem is you have 50 different states right now with 50 different rules on the books for high school to college. One of the rules is simply that you can't pay guys to come to your school. Like, that does not work. That is one of the few bylaws we have. And the moment the NCAA tried to enforce that, 2 entire states, including their attorney generals, sued the NCAA. It's like, and once that, if Tennessee and Virginia win that lawsuit, you are basically telling every school and every collective in the country, there is nothing that anyone can do. You can do whatever the hell you want. And so, I mean, I appreciate what Saban's trying to say. I just don't know how you go about doing it unless you turn this into professional sports collectively bargained. And that's the other one that no one wants to do. We say that's awful, but the only way to get sweeping rules in place that don't get your ass sued, where you're going to get yourself handed to in court, is to collectively bargain it. Because I hear people all the time be like, well, what about the NFL? It's a salary cap. Yes, there's a union that gets together and then bargains with the NFL teams to say, this is the percentage of money we get. You can do that. You can't do it when you won't even acknowledge that your student athletes, quote, are employees and you pay them. So until then, you can't put arbitrary rules. And finally, after 75 years of this, someone got smart and was like, you don't get to have your cake and eat it too. You can't say that this is a $1 billion business where everyone's making money but the kids, but then put a bunch of arbitrary rule on the kids that cap what they can get. Meanwhile, you can make whatever you want. It just, so we need to be realistic about this. And almost even the great Nick Saban, almost everything I hear won't stand up to courts, and it's not going to be okayed by the powers that be.
He addressed that. This is why I don't think Saban's the best guy. And I think Saban's a smart guy, but dude, again, 73-year-old white guy who spent years in the SEC. Yeah. Is that the guy you want spearheading the new age of college football?
Yeah. You need a group of smart people.
He said, somebody asked him about all the legalities of this, and he said, well, I'm not really well versed on all that. And so he said they would be more he said he was mentioning SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey, Alabama Athletic Director Greg Byrne. He said they would be more qualified to serve in a college football commissioner's role than I am. They're in it every day and know all the issues. That's why I'm hesitant to come up with a firm solution, because you don't know the consequences of the solution relative to do we have to pass antitrust laws to be able to do it this way? Yeah. What does that entail? It's one thing to come up with a solution. It's another thing to implement it. I'm just here to help.
Yeah. And this is why
and he could help.
Yes. I would love to see him part of a committee.
Right.
I think you need to go get a couple smart attorneys. I know this is weird, but if you don't know the name Jeffrey Kessler, look it up. He's the main attorney that loves to stick it to the NCAA. He ran the O'Bannon lawsuit. He's got like 9 other. He just sues the NCAA. It's what he does. I would honestly do the whole hire the villain, hire the guy to break into my bank to tell me what the weak spots are. I would go get Jeffrey Kessler. I would go get the guy that sues the NCAA more than anyone else and bring him in to my fold and be like, I want you to help us. You go get Nick Saban. You go get Jeffrey Kessler. Go get Chris Peterson. Go get David Shaw. Go get, was it Anthony Gonzalez, the representative out of Ohio that used to be a receiver at Ohio State. Now he's in Congress. Go get him. Get many people. Go get, like you said, go get Sankey, who's the SEC commissioner and has been for years. If you don't think that guy knows how to be a power broker in college football, go get a variety of people. Go get a really smart business guy. Go get a Mark Cuban type, right? That's been around the world of professional sports. Go get a group of these people. Get an athlete or two. Go get Andrew Luck or Reggie Bush, someone that existed recently in the world of college football that was a big deal, that knows the inner workings of what it meant to be a college athlete and get paid and not get paid. Put those guys in a room and actually start a brainstorm. And then maybe you don't necessarily have a single commissioner, but maybe you have a Portland-esque committee, one guy near the top, and you collectively come up with
what that is,
with something that makes sense.
That's a task force.
A task force. Yes. Because it's going to be hard to get one person over this, because there's just so many entities, and the fact that it's not collectively bargained, that's the biggest draw on this. If the college football world could get together and decide that we are going to unionize, we are going to say there are employees, we're going to have to do this, that would be the easiest way, because at that point you could actually come up with real regulations and rules to put it in place. But until that happens, any solution you come up with is littered with lawsuits and landmines and problems.
All right, up next, who could have had him? 5:33, here's Buck.
Now, from the
Yeah, I was looking back at the old draft of Patrick Mahomes. Remember him, the Chiefs quarterback that just won the Super Bowl? Do you remember that guy?
I remember something about him.
He's pretty good.
He's all right.
God, that's obnoxious.
Yeah. So's his wife. That's not fair.
Yeah, it's not very nice. Not very nice.
Well, she's hot now, so people are giving her breaks.
Yeah, less obnoxious than SI.
Yeah.
If that's still a
Look,
publication.
the hotter you are, we know that you can be more obnoxious.
Is it even still a magazine? They're like shutting everything down, right?
I don't know if that's still. I mean, it might be an online thing anymore. When's the last time you saw a magazine?
I just every like 6 weeks it feels like we hear about them just shutting down.
I was at the Quest today getting blood work, and I was bummed. There's no magazines. That was like the only time I read magazines, when you'd flip through the doctor's office. Now, nothing.
I get 2 magazines at the house that I actually flip through. One is there's like a Northwest Golf magazine
that comes automatic with your membership.
You're right. Yeah.
OGA.
I always like that. And then Travel and Leisure shows up. I don't really know why.
Yeah.
But I love it.
Yeah.
Flip through it.
I got like a 2-year subscription to Rolling Stone. I'm assuming through some sort of credit card thing. I don't know.
Yeah,
Just showed
that's
up.
usually how it works.
And I loved it. I got Esquire and Rolling Stone, and I miss those.
So I was looking at the 2017 draft with Mahomes, and I remember we were on the air. I mean, Mahomes was not talked about a lot.
No, he was not viewed
it was
as
Mitchell Trubisky. Myles Garrett went number 1. Mitchell Trubisky number 2. And man, so I was looking back at that draft. I always like to look at these, and I don't know. I just think it's fun to look at who could have had a guy.
Sure.
The pick. So he went 10th. The Chiefs traded up from Buffalo and got the pick and took Mahomes.
Where did the Chiefs come from to get him?
I think they were 13th.
They didn't move that much.
Well, where's
up.
Buffalo? Let's find
Buffalo. Scroll. They were 27th.
Yep, 27th.
So that's a big jump.
Now the Bills dropped all the way back and got Tre'Davious White,
which nice
so
pick.
that worked out fine.
Nice player. I remember like afterwards, and I don't know how like it's easy to say afterwards, but like the Sean Payton and was it the Denver Broncos were all like, oh, we wanted Mahomes too, and so now of course you're hearing more teams that were valuing him, but
the Broncos picked 20th.
Yeah.
And got Garrett Bowles, the offensive tackle.
He holds a lot, but
But Mahomes, the pick so 2 picks before Mahomes was the Panthers, and they took McCaffrey. So nice pick.
Yeah, nice. He got hurt there a bunch, but you can't argue with who Christian McCaffrey is.
But the number 9 pick went to the Bengals. Do you remember who they took? You probably don't.
No, I don't remember.
So I'll tell you.
I can't even. I'm not going to look at. I had the draft in front of me, but that would be cheating. I don't want to look at it.
Speedster John Ross.
Oh yeah, he won the one. What did he win at the combine for?
Well, he had the
lowest,
like the lowest 40 time. One of the best ever.
I think they were like going to give him an island or something like that because he broke a 4.3.
I don't remember. I just know that he was the fastest guy at the combine, and
now the Bungholes ended up getting Joe Burrow several years later. So I guess that's water under the bridge, but still, man.
What other receivers went in that draft? Because again, that's what I always look at. Like, okay, you needed a receiver, you drafted a receiver.
Like, well, before him, Corey Davis and Mike Williams.
And not the Tampa Mike Williams, the Chargers Mike Williams. So, yeah, Corey Davis, and Mike Williams when healthy. All right.
Well, he's better than John Ross.
Oh, anyone's better than John Ross.
So let's see other receivers here for you, fella.
Because Corey Davis had a couple decent years in Tennessee, but was never was never anything special.
So after Ross went Zay Jones, Curtis Samuel, Juju Smith-Schuster.
Not a great receiver draft.
Cooper Kupp.
Oh, there you go. Where did Kupp go?
69 to the Rams.
Well, see, and that's one of those, like, I don't fault anyone for not drafting Cooper Kupp because
Chris Godwin went 84.
Yeah, when you're talking about the difference between drafting someone in the everyone didn't think those guys were first-round picks. I'd just go with, like, who was drafted around you because that's just a misevaluation. But it doesn't really sound like there were great wide receivers at the top of that draft. None of those guys really turned out to be anything.
And you could see why people were in love with John Ross.
100%.
At the time.
Yeah, well, speed kills. But it's funny now in the NFL, like, the deep game just isn't. Mahomes, I don't think he threw a touchdown pass over 20 yards this year. Like the game has changed, but back then, it's the Raiders. Everyone, throw the ball deep, speed kills.
A couple of others that come to mind that are famous ones. Of course, that douchebag lawyer guy that went and David Kahn went to the Timberwolves and took Johnny Flynn and
I took 2.
Ricky Rubio.
That was over Steph Curry.
Took him
right?
6-7 before, or took him 5-6 before Curry at 7. I believe.
Yeah, something like that. That one's bad. And then the Giannis draft. Giannis went.
He went like 15th or 18th or something.
I think he was 15th. And of course, this is a little hindsighty because he was pretty raw.
Well, if you look at him, he was the definition of a project. I'm sure when Milwaukee or anyone drafted him, they're like, who?
But you know who could have had him, right? But I'm just talking about the one pick before.
Yeah.
The Utah Jazz
Oh.
or actually, it might have been Minnesota, because you know how they do the
the NBA drafting is weird.
Yeah, it's Shabazz Muhammad.
See, I don't give anyone any flack for that, because there's just, when you're drafting Ryan Rupert or you're drafting Giannis, you are literally just saying, I don't know, maybe in 3 years the kid turns into something. And even Milwaukee, that was drafting him at 15, didn't believe he was gonna. I think he's put on 55 pounds since he was drafted. He's grown like 2 inches. No, like, how the hell are you supposed to think that he's going to turn into that? I guarantee when New England drafted Tom Brady, they didn't think he was going to be Tom effing Brady. They're like, maybe this kid's got something. 7th round, but you're not. Hey, Red Danny. Don't give me this. That you knew Tom Brady was going to be great. Can it? If you knew he was going to be great, you would have been 7th round.
Oh, 7th round. Sorry,
I think was Brady 6. Brady might have been 6. You're right, but yeah, you're not. If you really thought something of him, you would have drafted him in the 3rd round.
Yeah. Well, there's so many of those. Buck had a good one on the Raiders. Do you still have that up there, Buck?
Yeah, so there was a stretch from 2004 to 2008. So 5 straight years. The very next guy after they drafted was exponentially better. So it started in 2004. They took Robert Gallery, I think 2nd overall.
Tackle out of
Larry
Iowa.
Fitzgerald went next. Very next pick. 2005, they took Fabian Washington, 23rd overall. Aaron Rodgers was the next pick. 2006, they took Michael Huff at safety. Very next pick, another safety, Dante Whitner. And then 2007, this is the bad one, Jamarcus Russell. Very next pick, Calvin Johnson.
Yeah.
Damn, dude.
Whoops.
They also had Darren McFadden. Next pick was Glenn Dorsey.
It's the draft is an inexact science.
So they had when they passed on Rodgers, their quarterback. You said that was 2005.
That was 2005. Correct.
Yeah, Rodgers fell all the way, man. It was
it was like him or Smith for number 1, and then Smith went 1. He went all the way falling to 24.
He went a tumbling.
Yeah, but I was just trying to think of who the Raiders quarterback was at the time, and looking back, their starter in 2005 was Kerry Collins.
Oh,
and they moved on to Andrew Walter the next year. Probably could have used Aaron Rodgers, because then came the Josh McCown, Jamarcus Russell years and the Jason Campbell years. God,
it's the one thing about sports that no one, you just can't quantify, is when you're sitting in that room and you're getting ready to draft guys and you got the big board up there. There's so many different voices and all that input, and you just don't know. And I'm not trying to get any. I'm not
you
trying
still got to get it right.
You got to get it right, but
that's the whole league. It's your job.
It's the difference.
Get it right.
And when you look at teams that build it, and it's not just hitting on the Aaron Rodgers of the world, but you look at the Seattle teams that end up winning the Super Bowl, and you look at the Bobby Wagners and the Cam Chancellors and the Richard Shermans and Russell Wilson. Wilson was what, 3rd round, I think, out of if I'm not mistaken.
Hey, Seattle.
3rd round. The number of guys that they hit on, that we talked about it with the Chiefs, from Snead to McDuffie, to the Pacheco. I mean, on and on. Rashee Rice this year. I mean, they haven't been very successful with the receivers, but Rice was a big part of what they did. Their linebacking core that they went out and got. I mean, those are all draft picks, and you hit. And when you hit on them, you're right. It is an inexact science. It is very tough, but it is literally the difference between being a crappy organization and being a championship organization.
I mean, imagine, if Myers Leonard was a different pick.
Yeah.
Or Zach Collins.
Yep.
was a different pick.
And we'd have to go and look at who was around them. But yeah.
Oh, you want to play that game?
Well, I remember, I think it was the Myers Leonard. It went like 2 picks before they won. And I know he ended up being good, but not great. They wanted the center out of UConn, Drummond. They wanted Andre Drummond, and he went like a pick or two before before Leonard. And, Leonard turned out to, whoops. And then the Zach Collins was just that thing was just
They traded up to get him.
Yeah. And we were told foundational. Remember they said he was Kevin McHale, and God almighty.
Kevin McHale.
Yeah, they said he was a more athletic Kevin McHale. I was like, wow, why would you say that?
So Leonard, 11th.
Yeah, I don't
Drummond went 9th.
Yeah, I don't think there was a ton around that.
Same draft as Lillard. After Myers, Jeremy Lamb, Kendall Marshall, John Henson, Maurice Harkless, Royce White,
Blazer great. Yeah, it's
Tyler Zeller. I mean, there's not. You got to go all the way down to 35 to find an all-star. Draymond Green.
Yeah, and you can't fault them. Like no one.
Chris Middleton went 39.
Yeah, again, that's you can't fault anyone when there's that sort of gap.
So I can fault him.
The Leonard one,
Miles Plumlee. Could have been the Miles Plumlee model instead of the Mace Plumlee model.
Yeah, you can't kill him with that.
And then the Zach Collins one.
Zach Collins one. You moved up and you drafted. That was rough. That was rough. You go back. Remember, it was the Martell Webster over? Was that Martell Webster over? Was that Chris? Who?
Chris Paul.
Yeah, Chris Paul.
But going back about 10 years, they took Nolan Smith the pick before the Manimal Kenneth Faried.
I liked Kenneth Faried.
Yeah, he was good.
Yeah, Zach Collins. Yeah, okay. So after Zach Collins, see, that's right. That was when they already had Lillard, but I was saying Donovan Mitchell, that's the dude because I watched a lot of college basketball at that time.
Yeah,
he was at Louisville. He was awesome. It was like just get him, and then maybe you could trade him or just develop him and then trade him. Donovan Mitchell went after Zach Collins, and so did Bam Adebayo.
Yeah, Bam. I knew there was one that was like
glaring. 4 picks after Zach Collins went Bam. Dude, right there. That changes your whole franchise right there.
And Bam was a specimen. It's not like you look at him and you see Tom Brady from the combine.
Absolutely.
Because where did Damon want to go to play with Bam was Miami,
right.
And then could have been here and that whole thing. And then you could have dealt CJ and then could have gotten a better rounded roster and
dummies.
Whoops.
All right. There's that new fun game. Who could have had him? We will be back to wrap up the sports portion of the program next on The Fan.
It's time for a Ducks Report, the inside story on Oregon athletics. Brought to you by Mods PDX. The future of building is here.
Ducks take on Stanford tonight. Of course, it's here on The Fan because we're the home of the Ducks. 7:30 pre, 8
walks over to her, she does the hey, and sticks out her hand to do like the bro like handshake. And he's looking at her. And then meanwhile, the inbred white trash boyfriend next to the pudding of a woman starts telling Kevin Durant, hey, no big deal, whatever. And then he hits him with I host a sports podcast. Do you want to come on? And Kevin Durant, in disgust, turns around and leaves. And to Kevin Durant's credit, they're going to kick him out. They're going to give him the heave-ho, and Durant comes jogging back and says, don't kick him out, and then turns around and leaves.
That's the coolest thing Kevin Durant's done in years.
Might be the coolest thing he's ever done.
But how you want to talk about self-awareness? You call Kevin Durant a bitch. He turns around and then you try to bro hug him, and then then your boyfriend or husband's like, bro, it's all good, man. I host a podcast. Why don't you come on? You jackwagon.
Someone said this is like Twitter, but in real life. The Twitter warriors fire off a scalding take, and then when someone finally claps back, and be like, and they backpedal.
Come on my podcast.
Yeah.
Hey, look, what'd you say the other day? There's like 3 million podcasts.
3.2 million podcasts exist.
Yeah, so you got to cut through that swath. Like, how else are you going to do it? You got to get Durant on your podcast. You got to call him a bitch to get him on there. Should all work, right?
I just love it. Let's just be as insulting as humanly possible to someone, and they'd be like, "Hey, man, we can work it out. Come on my podcast."
Yeah, call him a bitch to get his attention, and then think you're going to make good with him and be friends.
How about I be a giant ass and then I ask a favor of you? This is where we're at. I swear to God, people.
Well, people, they've always been this way, JC babes.
I know.
It's just
now
it's being filmed.
Yeah, the nerve to come on my podcast, Kevin. As I try to dap you up from the second row. Cool.
All right, up next, Bobby, our friend, our beloved, rest in peace, was a fraud.
And I saw something today I had an incident today that kind of shook me a little bit.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it was something.
The club is next on The Fan.
Fred Meyer always gives you savings and rewards on top of our lower than low prices.
Well, we talked about this dog, Bobby, the
Yeah,
world's oldest dog.
Turns out he's a fraud.
Remember that? We were looking at that dog going, that dog doesn't look that old.
No. But wasn't he 31 or
32!
something? 32?
31. Sorry.
And yeah, there was the whole thing where he had supposedly had a heart attack at 24, and then he lived 7 more years.
Yeah. Just kept going.
He lived on a farm in Portugal with his owner. And last February, about this time last year, we talked about it right here on the program, he was given the title by the Guinness Book of World Records.
Which is, that is the record book. I mean, you can't argue with the Guinness.
His title. And he was photographed with a little plaque, standing there all excited. World's oldest dog. However,
controversy.
Very much controversy. Guinness has retracted the world's oldest dog title from Bobby.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I saw that.
They
Guinness,
did an investigation.
I love that they investigated this. The spokesman said, we take great pride in our record book.
Hey, that's what they do.
They do.
They do not mess around. The Guinness World Records, they do not take those lightly.
No, because even if it's something stupid like this, the moment you get exposed for having gotten one pulled over on you, then every record is put into question, and you can't have that.
So an investigation was opened following concerns raised by veterinarians and other experts.
Did we really need concerns to think that a dog was 31? Isn't that enough to launch an investigation?
Can I ask a stupid question?
Absolutely.
Concerns raised by vets. Who are other experts on the age of dogs?
I think
besides vets.
I think everybody, because
well, you're not an expert. No,
I am an expert.
You can't be an expert.
I am. Watch this.
You know nothing about it.
I do. I've owned 7 dogs in my adult life, and they've all died, before the age of 13. So the idea that one lives to be 31, I would consider myself an expert and claim horse nears that this dog is 31.
You're saying probably not likely. But
I'm an expert on dogs dying because I've had a lot of them die. Therefore, I'm considering myself an expert, and there's no way a dog's living to be 31.
Yeah, they said that they require evidence for all titles they monitor and a minimum of 2 statements from witnesses and subject experts. Pictures, video, and data provided by technology relevant to the achievement are also considered. A lack of evidence from Bobby's microchip data provided them with no conclusive evidence of his date of birth.
I love the fact that he was microchipped in 2022. First off, why are you microchipping a dog that is 30 years old?
I was going to say,
where is he going?
Wouldn't the microchip only be important to us if they had done it 30 years ago when he was born, when they didn't have him?
Are you concerned that your 30-year-old dog is going to wander off with dementia and he can't walk? And so I guess when they microchipped him, the vet just asked, how old is your dog? And they responded, 30. And they were like, cool, wrote it down. It's like a dating profile. How tall are you? 6'3", as far as you know.
Well, we were talking about this earlier today. If you just say something's true these days, you could say, yeah, it is. Why not?
And that's what they went on.
Do you think there's some other dog out there that's now like, yes, I'm going to get the title?
Except the oldest dog now is probably 17. This is like when they
older than that, right?
I don't.
They said that they don't have a new. They're not in a position to confirm a new holder of the record.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I'm guessing this is going to be like Lance Armstrong. If you started stripping his titles, you'd have to go back to 19th place to find someone that was clean. The oldest. There's no way the oldest dog is anywhere near 31 or 32. There's no way.
Probably 20, maybe 20, early 20s.
I'm guessing early 20s.
22.
I'm guessing.
I think a dog could get to 22.
That has to
somewhere.
That has to be. We had a dog. We had our lab who was like a mutt mix, and the best part is at the end, everyone just wanted her to go. She smelled terrible. She was like that dog from It's Always Sunny, and I think she lived to be 16 or 17 and just looked like death incarnate. And you're telling me that another dog lived twice that? There's just no way. It's got to be 23.
It definitely can get rough when they get old.
Yeah. You feel bad.
And it's like, oh my God, this dog. I mean, we had a little dachshund. I mean, all she did was walk in circles. She couldn't hear.
Yeah.
She couldn't see. and she would just bump into things and walk in circles.
Yeah. It's terrible. And you should. And at that point, it's like.
So we killed her.
Yeah. You did the right thing. Like,
well, you always hang on a little too long, right? I think
it's hard.
It is hard. And I've hung on probably a little too long with all the dogs I've ever put down.
We had that with our last bulldog.
It's just,
when
you're in it, you don't,
you want to
but other people see it clearly.
Yeah, but when it's your buddy, when it's your gal, you want to give them every chance. And it's hard.
You do.
According to this, Guinness, they're saying that Bluey, the Australian cattle dog.
Yeah, I was gonna say that Bluey was a healer.
29 years and 5 months. But this is the problem that I have with this.
You're not buying that either because you're an expert, right?
Bluey was born in 1910.
Oh.
So you're telling me.
Is our records keeping really that good?
I'm going horse crap. You're telling me that in 1910 that whoever owned this Bluey, and it was in Australia. Tell me some dude in Australia. It was just like, yeah.
So you're doubting dog birth certificates from the early 1900s?
Left and right. I'm calling crap 29 years old. Prove it to me. Prove it to me, Guinness. Seems odd. 29 years.
Well, sorry, Bobby. We loved you.
Yeah,
when you were
and
alive.
It's not your fault. You got Danny Almonte.
When you weren't a fraud.
You know.
Yeah, we loved
Yeah,
you.
it's really not Bobby's fault. It's
now
his damn
you're
owner.
Shamed.
But now I would like to know how old Bobby really was. Like, because if Bobby lived to
He
be like
didn't
20,
look that old.
if he lived to be like 27, hey, fist bump to you, man. But
No.
if you were like 18, what sort of crap is this?
That dog, I'm telling you, go look at pictures of Bobby if you haven't seen
Did
pictures
not
of
look
Bobby.
old.
That dog doesn't even look 15.
No. And like I'm looking at photos of Bluey and you can't tell because it was from 1915 and they're just black and white and scratchy.
What's the dog's name?
Bluey. They're claiming he was born June 7th, 1910 and died November 14th, 1939.
Oh, there's old Bluey.
Yeah.
They believe that's where the popular children's show Bluey was named after.
The owners have also claimed that they had dogs that lived longer, although those claims have not been independently verified. Really? So these jackasses are claiming that Bluey, they had dogs that lived longer. This whole thing. The whole thing's suspect. You're suspect.
Text line pointing out people barely lived to 29 in 1910.
Exactly. It was 1910. I feel like in 1910, you had like every other day, you probably should be dead. By the way, it's Australia 1910 too, where everything in that continent, and I mean everything, is trying to kill you. I think Australia it's Latin for "you're gonna die." I think that's the literal translation. Every animal in Australia is trying to take you down.
All right. Up next, what Sook saw at the gym today.
Someone said yes. I need to start my podcast. Public incident with Sook. I don't know why this happened.
We had another one.
I don't know why this happens to me.
Another one.
But it happened, and it went down.
613 on the fan.
The home of Dirt and Spray.
I don't know if I can stress enough how important it is. I think personally, for their future in this conversation, you need Oregon State, and I don't mean any disrespect.
and they've got boxing gloves on, and they're just throwing haymakers. And by the way, it's not a boxing gym.
It's not so they're in like what's in the room?
Just a hardwood floor.
So it's like where they do yoga and stuff.
Yes. And I'm just sitting there, and my first thought is, that's a terrible idea in every single way. Great idea, people. And no headgear, no nothing.
But they have gloves.
They got gloves, and they're just bombing at each other. I have no idea what they're doing. And I thought, like, I was like, just mind your own business. And I stuck my head in. And I literally said, hey guys, you probably shouldn't be doing that. It's a terrible idea. And they're like, oh, do you work here? And I said, no.
They're said, like, okay, boomer.
And I just was like, that's a really bad idea.
Did you tell them why?
No. I just was like, that's a really bad idea.
They're not going to listen to you.
And that was it. And then so I walked. Well, on the other side of the, if you get to the other side, there's another glass door. There's 2 door entrances. So how long does that take me? Maybe 25 seconds to walk from one end to the other. So I walk to the other end of it, and I see the glass door, and I look in the glass door, and what do I see but one of the kids just sprawled out on the ground, not moving. And I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. I'm like, what? And so I look in there, and his 2 friends are literally trying to lift his lifeless body off the ground. And I'm like,
what are they going to do with it?
I'm like, you can't.
Maybe they murdered him.
So
Sounds like they're trying to help him come to with no idea that that's not what they should be doing.
I walked in and I was like, guys, don't put him down. I was like, please put him down. And my first thought was, did he hit his by the way, he's got this huge lump on his
grundle.
I was wondering if he hit his head. And I said, do people die falling and hitting their head on the ground? Like, this is why you don't fight and box on hard surfaces. Like, what are you doing? And they're like, well, we're getting into it. They bought some, and by the way, they've got little small thin gloves.
How old were they?
19, 20. And they've got no headgear. They've got these really thin boxing gloves, no padding on it. And I'm just like, holy crap. The poor kid's laying on the ground, and he starts to come to. And I was like, was he out? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, did he hit his head on the ground? They're like, I don't think so. We tried to help him as he was going down. Kid has no idea where he's at. None whatsoever. Doesn't remember going there. He just keeps saying that he think he lost his contact lens. He must have repeated that about 15 times.
Ooh.
And they're like,
his eyes are important to him.
Yeah. Well, macular degeneration.
Set him up with Winkler. Yeah.
Henry Winkler. And so these kids are trying to pick him up. I'm like, stop trying to pick him up. I'm like, you need to call. Like, this is an emergency room visit. This is not like, he is not driving. They're like, well, we won't let him drive for a while. Like, what? Like, what is happening?
That's what I would have said when I was 20.
Yeah, I'm just sitting there. And so after I'm there for like 10 minutes, just talking to this kid, seeing like, hey, everything okay? And so then I'm like, he doesn't drive. I'm like, you guys need to go get him checked out. I'm like, this is really bad. Like, he has no idea where he's at. He keeps repeating himself. So then I go to the front desk, and now at this point I'm involved. I'm like, son of a bitch. So I go in the front, and
this is what you get, though.
I know. So I go in the front, and I was like, hey, just so you guys know, and I know the owners. Like, I love the owner. He's a great guy. So I go to the front desk, and I'm like, you might want to know that this happened. And they're like, oh my God. And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I assume you guys want to know. So they start like getting the forms. They're going to fill like incident reports. And like, do we call his emergency contact? So then I go back in to check on him 10, 15 minutes later, and he's yakking in the garbage can.
Ooh.
He's just puking. And I'm like, yeah.
So he's concussed.
Oh, God.
Is that what we're to deduce here?
Yeah.
At the least.
And so they call his mom, and the mom won't let him go to the hospital. The mom's like 45 minutes to an hour away, and she's like, no, I'll come pick him up. And I was,
you know what that is? That's cost.
That's cost.
Yeah.
That's
cost. Sad. That is such a sad state of affairs.
Yeah.
There are so many people that when something happens now, they're like, I don't want to foot this bill.
Yep.
Even if they have insurance, I can't foot the bill.
And even if they don't know the severity, they're like, I'm going to hope everything's okay and just try to dodge this thing first because our family can't afford this
That's
right now.
right.
So I spent like a half hour, and God bless them. They just, I think it finally dawned on them, the other two, that this is like a serious situation, and that what they were doing was the dumbest human possible thing you can do. And the poor
I don't know
kid,
about that.
oh man,
They could have done some dumber things in there.
And so after like a half hour, I guess the mom wasn't going to be able to make it down, and said that they would allow one of the friends to drive him, and the kids promised that they were going to take him to the hospital and get him checked out. Because a half hour later, the kid still had no idea, none, where he was at. It was spooky. It was rough. Because originally they were like, well, we'll just take him home. And I was like, no. I was trying to tell the kids, I'm like, especially if he hit his head on the ground, that's one of those where you can go home and you're like, oh, I'm just going to take a nap, and you don't wake up. I was like, if you've got a brain bleed, like you need to go get looked. It took me 10 minutes to convince the kids that they needed to take their friend to go see a doctor now. I was like, it was just one of those weird serendipitous things where you walk in and you're like, hey guys, it's a bad idea. 20 seconds later, and there's the bad idea.
But you get involved in other people's business too much, man. I would have walked right by those dumbasses.
As they carry their friend's lifeless body around?
Yeah, it's their problem. They're the idiots, not me.
Jeez Louise.
Get out of here with that.
I just love that. I'm like, you guys don't box? No, but we wanted to get into it and bought some stuff off Amazon, and then decided to go into just a fitness gym, go on the hard ass ground, and just start throwing haymakers.
You'd be better off doing it in a park on grass.
I just thought to myself, of all the times to stick your head in, not a good idea. And there's why.
Do you ever pretend to not see something that...
I thought about it. I thought about that one.
Yeah, I mean, I would have walked right by him. Yeah. I would not. Like, you're just dumb. Whatever.
Not my fight, not my problem.
Yeah, that's right. Not my monkey, not my circus. But do you ever see something where it's like probably too much, like you need to intervene?
I felt like that was and honestly, I felt bad because when I saw the kid laying lifeless, because you're right, when I told him, I didn't say why it was a bad idea. I don't know. Because I was like,
you should explain that, because otherwise you look like just an ass.
I was conflicted to mind my own business, but at the same time, I just saw it and I was like, I was watching the way they were throwing punches at each other, and I'm like, someone's gonna get hurt.
You just had the intuition this ends badly.
Yes, and it ended 20, and then I thought to myself, what if I had actually taken the time to be like, hey guys, this is why this is such a terrible idea. Don't know what you're doing, thin gloves, no headgear, hard ground, and you're throwing haymakers, and you have no idea what you're doing. But then I felt like if I said that, they would have been like, okay, boomer. So I was like, it's one of those, like, if they're not going to listen to you, then why to say anything? But then when you see the kid's lifeless body not moving and then twitching on the ground.
That's what the employees at the gym are for. Don't they have somebody have to be certified in CPR?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
They're all there. That's what they're there for.
I did go tell the people at the front. I was like, yeah, you might want to. And the look on their face was great. They were like, you could just see the eye roll back and be like,
oh no.
Do they have cameras in there? Can you see
They
them
probably do.
I don't know. I would assume.
I would imagine anything that's not a bathroom, they probably have covered in a place like that.
Yeah.
Mostly so that people can so that they can cover themselves legally and dispute, no, it wasn't our equipment that did this, et cetera, et cetera.
No, and by the way, I'm pretty sure that there's some rules that you can't just go into a gym and just start beating the hell out of one another.
Oh, right. But I mean, there could easily be people all over this country that are like, something bad happened here, it's Crunch Fitness's fault. And it certainly is not.
I tell you what, I did that when I was a kid. We got boxing gloves. And
we
did. I remember.
I did the exact same thing.
Yeah.
I just about knocked my brother out.
Yeah.
My mom was like, what? My brother comes in with his nose is gushing blood. I hit him one time, and she's like, "Where'd you get those gloves?" I'm like, "Oh, I got them for $4 from this place." And
yeah, we thought it was cool.
It stole the guy.
I think I won.
Did you?
I think. I fought my buddy Matt Melvin.
It's just, I was trying to explain to the one kid. I was like, when you spar, I was like, even at real boxing clubs, I'm like, we wear big oversized gloves with extra padding, and everyone wears headgear and mouthpieces. We don't go in there with 10-ounce gloves and start swinging on each other. Like, that's really, and the guy was like, oh yeah, makes sense. As his friends just on the ground, I think I lost my con. It's all he kept saying.
We did that in college. We'd have a couple of pops go to the basement. We'd call it Fight Club. We just throw gloves on and let everyone throw haymakers at each
haven't
other.
You seen Fight Club? Come on, man. You're like a wet blanket.
Right until that
Let
poor
the kids have some fun.
Right until that poor bastard bounces his head off the ground. That's
so what?
Yeah.
That's what they're doing. That's what they want to do. Screw them.
I guess sometimes you can't fix stupid, right?
Exactly. You know what's going to happen? This kid's going to get better.
Yeah.
And he's going to do something else stupid.
Probably.
With his other stupid buddies. And you're not going to be there. And one of them's going to get hurt.
That was as bad
That's what's going to happen.
That was as bad a knockout as I've seen in a while. Like, you see him, but that's a that was a doozy. So just FYI out there, if you do decide that you want to box, go to a boxing gym and do it under the supervision of people that know what they're doing. Don't order gloves off Amazon and then show up on a hard service and start swinging at each other. That's just, I need like a PSA for kids and young adults. Don't be stupid. That's terrible.
Kids are stupid though. That's the problem.
Yeah.
And so there's nothing you can do about that.
And everyone that age thinks they're invincible.
That's right.
Well, I'll tell you what, that poor bastard found out he wasn't invincible today. That was, but he lost his contact. It's important.
Did you guys find it? You didn't?
I didn't bother to look for that.
Why not?
Thought there was
his
more,
eyes are important to him.
Thought there was more important things like keeping his head still. As again, they were trying to pick him up off the ground, and as they were doing it, his head just kept flopping around. I was like, you might want to support his head and neck, but that's just me.
There you go again, butting in.
There, I did butt in. I did butt in and hold his head still while we talked to him. I thought that I didn't want to see a kid die.
Yeah, he wasn't going to die. But again, even if he didn't die that day, he's probably going to die young.
He's in some...
And there's nothing you can do about it.
No, there's not.
All right, we've got entertainment news coming up next. The latest on Bae. She's a country music star now.
Number one?
Baby. Here's Buckley.
Now.
is actually country.
Let's face it, they didn't play that because she's black.
She's a black hip hop R&B star married to Jay-Z. Yes, all of those things came into play.
So she becomes the only other solo woman with no accompanying artist to achieve a #1 single on the country charts.
Run that by me again. I was a little bit confused by
She
that.
becomes the only other solo woman with no accompanying artists. In other words, by herself.
Yeah.
To have a #1 single on the country charts next to Taylor Swift.
Really?
Yeah. Tay-Tay had 2 of them.
Wait, so like someone like Reba McEntire doesn't count, or
Shania Twain,
or like solo country acts?
Well,
that seems
The
odd.
qualifier, yeah, I don't totally. I mean, I believe you, but I don't totally get it.
Okay, let's read it again. Okay, let's read it together.
Let's go on this trip. Yes.
This marks her first ever #1 single on the country charts. Beyonce becomes the only other solo woman with no accompanying artists to achieve the feat next to Taylor Swift, whose songs Love Story and All Too Well hit #1 in 2021.
I'll be damned. That blows my mind.
I guess it's just no band?
And who's never maybe been with a band? Because I feel like there have been plenty of female solo acts in country, but I guess they had accompanying musicians. Maybe
no. Most of the women in country are solo acts. From, I mean, if you want to go all the way back to Tanya Tucker
Dolly?
and Dolly Parton, and
Yeah, but they have people playing with them. I think maybe that's the difference.
is that the difference? So
I think that's what
accompanying
this distinction
artist.
might be.
Yes. This is just her.
by the way, have you seen the cover photo for her single?
For Beyonce?
Yeah,
Bebe?
Texas Hold'em.
No.
Boy, it's
Well, she's a hottie, you know.
boy. I'll tell you, I don't know if they set the airbrush to full power or what, just some camera angles, but it's good from like 61.
She is also the first woman to have topped both the hot country and hot R&B hip hop song charts since the list began in 1958.
Oh, all right.
So she's making history, man.
Well, I would assume that whatever Beyonce does, if Beyonce put out a polka song, I'm guessing that becomes
I'd listen.
the biggest polka song of all time.
I love polka.
I don't think there's anything. Ooh, Red Wings just won an OT. Suck it, Avalanche. I don't think
Yes, stupid abs.
I don't think there's anything that she does that doesn't instantly become enormous. Like if she put out I'm looking here at the different Billboard charts. So there's hot rock and alternative, there's hot Christian songs, hot Latin, hot dance electronic songs, and then the hot country. I'm guessing that she could do anything and she would instantly jump to the top.
Well, now you know what's happening is she was wearing a cowboy hat at the Grammys.
Yep.
Now everybody's wearing a cowboy hat. And of course she wears them in the songs.
She can wear
So
the
that's
hell.
the new thing.
She can wear the hell out of that hat.
I'm going to roll in tomorrow with a cowboy hat.
I got one you can
at
borrow.
the Oregon International Auto Show.
It was my drinking hat for a while. I feel like everyone should have a drinking hat, like a dedicated drinking one. I retired the country hat and I went with the captain's hat, the Love Boat cap. That made the switch over, and now it's become one of the big palm leaf, like the the sun hats. I moved on to that, but for
I
a
got
while,
one of those.
but for a while there, the cowboy lid was my drinking lid. I'm trying to pull up the Billboard country charts, but apparently I have to subscribe to see them, which seems
It's like Nielsen.
the dumbest thing in the world. Why on earth?
Wouldn't you want me to see your top songs so that I could go buy them?
Yeah, doesn't that seem very Billboard's so important?
They're paywalling that? That's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Now, in other entertainment news, who gives an S about Machine Gun Kelly? However,
Holy smokes, did you see
did
that?
you see this?
I saw this.
Yeah.
This is insane.
You see this, Sue?
I did.
You guys got to Google Machine Gun Kelly's new tattoo.
Yeah.
If you can even call it a tattoo, he put on an ink shirt.
Well, apparently he was in some sort of outlaw motorcycle gang and wanted to get out because that's what you do.
Well,
Yeah,
did
I
you see his
guess.
tats before?
Yeah, he was covered.
Yeah.
He was
Well,
covered.
Yeah.
And I read a thing where he said that he was it became too chaotic for him to look at his tattoos, and he said it was a spiritual decision, so he covered 75 to 80% of his body in pure black ink,
ink.
and then the only one that you can see through is a big cross in the middle of his
Well, he
chest.
didn't do his belly. He's got a bunch on his.
Right below, you can see locals only. So
Yeah.
at least locals are still allowed.
But yeah, it's I've never seen anything like that. That is wild.
Well, a lot of times those blackout tattoos, people get them like if you're in like the Hells Angels or the Mongols or whatever, and you decide to leave,
Or people who are in like extremist groups like neo-Nazis and stuff and
Yeah.
want to get out.
So you can't cover up. Like I can't cover up. Someone asked me once if I would ever cover up my tattoos, and I'm like, you can't cover up sleeves and back pieces. Doesn't. No,
You can if you're Machine Gun
You
Kelly.
sure can.
You can only cover up tattoos with larger tattoos, and when they cover your entire body, can't really do anything about that unless you black them out. So if you're in one of those motorcycle gangs or like a neo-Nazi and you leave, they make you cover your tattoos up by blacking them out. He decided to just go one step further and black out his whole body.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's something.
It's crazy when you think like that's it. Like
that's it.
Old fat Machine Gun. He's 33.
Yeah.
When he's old and fat, he's that.
Yeah,
there's nothing you can do about that.
No.
Like, what the hell are you doing, dude?
Is he still with Megan Fox? What
Yes,
does she
he
think?
is.
She
Well,
good with it?
She's doing her own thing. She's morphing into some sort of weird alien too. She's
Joe
just-
asks, is that worse than blackface? Black torso? I don't know.
Well, I mean,
I
hey man, I got tattoos, so what the hell am I supposed to say? But that is, I just imagine too how painful that is to sit there for just someone to take that big fat, because that's not one needle. There's there's rows of them, so it looks like a felt pen, and they just sit there and scrape black ink into your body for God knows how long. That's
Yeah, I wonder what kind of how long we're talking in the chair for something like that.
long time. Long time. Although I guess in some ways you don't have to be detailed. You can just
yeah.
It's like painting a wall.
You can do touch up later if you need to.
Just scrub it. Thick, dark black ink. I will say, when you have that many tattoos and you like, there's nothing else you can do besides go all black. And once you go all black, there's nothing you can do because, well, now your arms are just black as tar.
But he basically tattooed a crop top onto himself.
Yeah,
You
he
know?
did. Yeah,
Dude, that guy's so weird.
yeah, it is. You're right. That is a crop top. And right below is man boobies there, and then he still has like
Yeah, his nips got tatted.
Yeah, his nips got tatted. Which, boy, I'll tell you what, it seems ouch. I don't know, man. I just think when you're a celebrity, all bets are off. Like in the grand schemes of Machine Gun Kelly, is that like the 7th dumbest thing that he's ever done?
Boy, I don't know. That's a good question.
Where does that
Seems to be
rank
it's
in?
probably top 5.
I actually thought I'd rather look like that for a day than that Cubs rookie prospect, Pete Crow Armstrong. You see what he did with his hair?
No.
He's like it's completely blue. He looks like an idiot. We showed up for photo day for the Cubs, and I know that hair is not permanent. He looks awful. And this came out on the same day. I thought, you know what? For one day,
Oh, I see it.
I think I'd rather be Machine Gun.
For one day?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he said that 44 needles were used for the body art. So they just got a giant tattoo needle and went at it. His tattoo artist said, I've never met a tougher one. I can attest that probably did not feel good. I always tell people, like, tattoos don't hurt that much, but they don't feel good. Anyone tells you that they do, they're full of crap. Never once have I been sitting in the chair for the 45, 50 hours that I've had and been like, this is amazing. But that's painful. That's awful.
It's crazy. Well,
44
more power to him.
44 needles?
Yeah. Pretty weird. And now you wonder, like, because tattoo people don't stop usually. Like,
No.
what's he gonna do now?
I guess there's only one thing you can do, and that's cover your belly up with the black.
What if he? What if he tats his dong?
I've seen that.
What?
Yeah. There when
Black dong.
when you go to a tattoo artist, now it's all like on Instagram. But
I'm sorry. I apologize for that one. My bad.
back in the day,
Are you kidding me?
and I think some still do. My guy's been doing it for like 30 plus years. There's just a scrapbook, right? And they have like Polaroids of the different photos. And one of the scrapbooks, Dark Star Tattoo, by the way, where I've gotten all mine and the Cougs.
Shout out.
Shout out, Dark Star. Hey,
uh,
Greg, you're the guy. Love me some Greg. He's done all my tattoos. This was 20 years ago or whatever, and I was flipping through the book, and it got to the back half, and there was like a little divider, and I was like, oh, why is there a little? That was the sensitive area tattoos, and one of them was a lady, and she had the red bullseye around. You can imagine
Interesting choice.
You can imagine what the bullseye was, and then which I was like, you want to talk about painful, and then there was a guy, and
Ain't nobody got time for that.
he had the when you buy meat, and it's what is it? Is it the US? Is it USDA? What is
USDA.
Correct, yeah.
And it's got that USDA like
100% prime.
No.
Prime certified.
He put the USDA stamp on his dong?
Yes.
Oh my ever-loving God.
I'm flipping through these pages, and all of a sudden, I'm like, oh my God, the bullseye. I was like, what? And I flipped the page, and I'm like, and there's the coup de grace. There's the USDA beef. 100% prime. I will say, in fairness to him,
He was packing.
look, in order to put that on there, you
You
need
some room.
You need some room. And my man was doing just fine. But I thought about someone had to like hold that and stretch it out while it was tattooed, because you have to pull the skin tight. And my man sat there and took it while that was going down.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that is all we have time for. Thank God. We'll be back to wrap up the show next on The Fan. Well, that's a little awkward. Coming back in for window talk.
Transition. I mean, hey, tattoos aren't for everyone, but you know what is? Windows.
That's right. And how often can you do these two things for like 60% off? Okay. How often can you improve the look of your home and the energy efficiency of your home and get like 60% off? How often can you do that? I mean, there's just not a lot of markdown, not a lot of discounts in the builder/construction world. But at Window Nation, they're kind of a unicorn. That's what they're offering right now. They have 50% off all Windows styles, and through the end of February, you can take an additional 10% off here in these last, whatever it is, handful of days. Plus, you'll get 0 down, 0 interest, and no payments for 24 months, and a free Nest thermostat with the purchase of a house of windows. 60% off. It's crazy. So if you need new windows, if you haven't thought about it, check your windows. Now is the time. 2 ways to get a hold of Window Nation. Go to windownation.com or call 866-90-NATION. 866-90-NATION.
The Fan is live on YouTube, Twitch, and now Window Nation brings you the window into the Fan. On-demand YouTube video shorts with your favorite fan shows